Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has ice and crystal release part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Why would you help a demon? It killed your parents, didn't it? It only thinks about itself, how it can get stronger, how it can get revenge, Mizuki said while he looked at Irika lay bleeding on the forest floor. Naruto was behind a tree at the tree line, trying to stay as quiet as possible. He still couldn't fathom what Mizuki-sensei had said. I am the fox? I'm the Kyuubi no Yoko? I can't be Kanai. It made more and more sense when he thought about it. That was why all the villagers hated him. That was why no one cared for him. That was why he didn't have parents. You are right. That's how the fox would be, Irika said. Naruto tried hard not to cry out loud. Even Irika agreed. The only person other than the Sandaime Hokage who actually cared for him, the one he thought was like a father, or maybe a brother, thought he was a demon. But that is not how Uzumaki Naruto is. He is one of the most caring person I know, and he just wants to be acknowledged. He may have that damned fox sealed inside him, but that doesn't make him the fox. More than a sealing scroll makes it what is sealed inside it. He is my student, and more than that, he is a person I care a great deal about. He is like family to me. I won't let you hurt him. Naruto was smiling. And not just a little smile. It was an ear-to-ear, sun shining out of your mouth, your chin is hurting smile. He had someone who thought him as family. Then his face turned serious. Irika-sensei, his big brother figure, his precious person, was going to get hurt. Naruto ran out from his hiding spot, just to see Mizuki throw his Fuma Shuriken. Naruto ran as fast as he could, but he wasn't fast enough. He could see it get closer and closer to Irika-sensei. Naruto ran and ran, but he wasn't fast enough. It was 3 meters from Irika now. He wouldn't make it. He wasn't fast enough to protect the first person to really acknowledge him. No! Naruto yelled with all his might, his arm reaching out for Irika. The earth began to quake, and a big cluster of pink crystals grew out of the ground, blocking the shuriken. That left 2 academy instructors and students speechless and stunned. Naruto snapped out of it first, turning to face Mizuki with the most serious look he had ever given. He pointed at him. I won't let you hurt Irika-sensei. Not now, not ever. He put his hand in front of him, weaving a hand seal crossing his index and middle fingers. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A big cloud of smoke exploded in the forest. When the smoke cleared, Mizuki and Irika couldn't believe what they were seeing. Over 1,000 orange-clothed Narutos were standing in the clearing and the surrounding trees. As one they charged towards Mizuki. Not now, not ever. Screams could be heard all over Konoha, as the now traitorous Konohanin was beaten by a 12-year-old academy student. 2 minutes later. Sorry, Irika-sensei, I think I may have gone a bit overboard, the blonde said with his trademark smile, while scratching the back of his head. Irika stood dumbfounded while staring at Naruto. He turned it into a smile. I think I can overlook it this once. He turned his head to look at the discolored formation of meat that was Mizuki lying on the forest floor. He then turned his gaze a bit to look at the big crystal formation. What was that? He turned his gaze back on Naruto, who was still grinning. Close your eyes, Naruto. Naruto just stared back at him. Why? Irika rolled his eyes. Just do it, Naruto. A few minutes later. Irika-sensei, are you done soon? Can I open my eyes already? Naruto asked in an annoyed tone. Just a minute, Irika chuckled. There, now open your eyes. Naruto did as he was told. There, right in front of him, was Irika-sensei smiling at him. But something was off, something was missing. It took Naruto a few seconds to figure out. He didn't have Hitaide on. Naruto's hand slowly made its way to his forehead. Yay, I did it! I'm a ninja of Konoha! I'm going to be Hokage in no time! Believe it! Naruto began ranting. But Irika's thoughts were miles away. Those crystals. Did Naruto make them? How did he do that? Does he have a Kekkai Genkai? If it is, it's not one I have ever seen or heard of before. I guess it is possible he could have one, since no one knows who his parents are. I better report to Sandaime soon. He would want to know this. Ano, Irika-sensei. Irika's focus snapped back at Naruto. Sensei, is it true about the fox? Irika smiled sadly. I'm afraid it is. Naruto looked down on the ground. He mumbled something inaudible. What? Am I the fox then? Naruto asked with tears in his eyes. Irika placed his hand on Naruto's head and ruffled his hair. Didn't you hear me back there? You are no more the fox, than a sealing scroll is the Kanai sealed inside it. Did you mean the other thing too? Naruto asked carefully. What other? He looked at the blonde, before displaying a large smile. Yeah, I meant it. Little brother. Naruto looked up at Iruka again with a smile wider than when he had gotten his Hittite. Before Iruka knew it, he was tackled by the little blonde, hugging him tightly while sniffling. In the Hokage's office. The Sandaime had seen it all through his magic little crystal ball. To think Mizuki would betray the village like that. I knew he had some grudges, but to think he would go this far. He looked at the crystal ball, seeing his grandson figure hugging the academy instructor. At least something good came out of this whole ordeal. He have finally found someone else than me that he knows acknowledges him. Then he frowned. But what was those pink crystals? I have never seen anything like it. I'll ask Jiraiya about it next time he comes to report in. He may know something about Minato or Kushina that I don't. He looked at the crystal ball again. The two Konoha shinobi were walking out of the forest hand in hand, the smaller figure jumping up and down, while the bigger looked down on him with a smile on his lips. Hiruzen leaned back into his chair, looking up at the ceiling. I guess I'd better call back the search parties so they don't drag him off the street. And with that thought, Hiruzen made his way out of his office. The next morning with Naruto. Naruto yawned loudly as he sat up in his bed. He didn't really know what to do the next few days but train. It was not like he had any friends to hang out with. Sure, Chuji and Shikamaru didn't hate his guts, but that was about it. There was still 6 days left till the new teams got assigned. He didn't really care that much about who he got teamed up with. Just not from the Sasuke team. Everyone but Sasuke team. And he wouldn't mind if he got teamed up with Sakura-chan. Though I could imagine she would have a problem with that. He frowned at that thought. Well, better get up and get going, he said to himself, jumping off the bed and heading for the bathroom. He had just opened the newly made instant ramen when an ANBU appeared in front of him. Naruto froze the instant he saw the ANBU. What have I done this time? I haven't done any pranks since I painted over the Hokage monument. Right after that, it was the test, and then the whole thing with Mizuki team. Calm down, Uzumaki-san. You haven't done anything. This time he waited a second, while giving Naruto a look. It felt like that anyway. Hokage-sama has summoned you. You should be there within the next hour, the ANBU said, and shined away before Naruto could respond. Well, it's not like I have anything else I have to do today. I wonder what Gigi wants, he wondered while slurping the noodles in him. 3 bowls and another toilet visit, and he was on his way to the Hokage tower. Naruto walked down the hallway where you could enter the Hokage's office from. As he walked past the receptionist, he got a dark glare. He ignored it, like all the other glares. He knocked on the door and heard a quick enter before turning the door knot. Ah, Naruto, thank you for coming so quickly. We have a few things to talk about. Naruto looked around the room while his grandfather figure talked. There was 3 shinobi standing in front of him. The 2 first he recognized right away, Sandaime Gigi and Iruka-sensei. The last one, not so much. On first eyesight Naruto could see he was old. Not as old as Gigi, but at least up in his 50s. He had long white hair and some red war paint running down his face from his eyes to his chin. He had a Hittite with the kanji for oil on it. Tora, Uma, please leave the office. I think we can defend ourselves against the 12-year-old genin, the Hokage said. 2 ANBU appeared from the shadows before shining away. Now, Naruto, why don't you take a seat and explain us what happened yesterday, Hiruzen said, gesturing towards a chair. Naruto went over to the chair and sat down. He turned towards Iruka for reassurance that he wasn't in any trouble. The scarred Chunin just smiled and nodded back at him. That was all Naruto needed, as he began rambling about what had happened, all from the way he had painted to Hokage Monument, to how Mizuki had come to him after the exam, to the battle in the forest. And then I ran towards Iruka-sensei, trying to reach him before the Fuma Shuriken hit him, but I couldn't make it. I wasn't fast enough. And then Naruto trailed off, while looking up on Iruka with a confused and pleading look. And then the earth began to quake, and crystals grew out of the earth, deflecting the shuriken away. Iruka finished. Naruto looked around for the reactions. Sandaime Gigi and the white-haired guy didn't show any. They had calm, collected faces. I see, please continue, Naruto, the Sandaime said calmly. Naruto continued his story, to the point where he had used the Kinjutsu, and to where he got his Hittite, and the ramen Iruka-sensei had bought for him afterwards. When Naruto was finished, the room was quiet for a minute or two. Naruto was looking carefully at the 3 shinobi in the room. Jiraiya, do you have any idea what those crystals may have been? The Sandaime asked. Jiraiya looked at Naruto. Taking in everything he saw Kami, he looked so much like Minato. But from what I've heard, he has inherited Kushina's fiery personality. I may know, I heard a rumor a while back. I had just set out on my journey. The nations were still recovering from the Third Great War, and everyone wore their nerves on the outside of their clothes. I heard that a whole village up in Tanokuni had been destroyed by a single jutsu. Now that alone isn't something to raise eyebrows over. It was the jutsu in question that was used that was. Where are you going with this, Jiraiya-sama? Iruka asked in a mild annoyed tone. He had already concluded that it was Naruto who had made those crystals. But he didn't know why or how, or if it was dangerous in any way. Everything for its own time, Jiraiya said, looking calmly at Iruka, who were glaring lightly back at him. Apparently it was destroyed by crystals. Now these crystals just grew out of nowhere, they encased people and plants alike. No one knew how. Jiraiya continued. He looked around on the small group. It later got the name Shoton. Iruka's eyes bulged out of their sockets. While he had expected something like that, it was still a bit of a shock. Even the scarecrow guy seemed surprised. Naruto just looked confused at Jiraiya. I thought the same thing. There's only one way to find out, the Sandaime said, while going through his drawers. He pulled out a little piece of paper and handed it to Naruto. Please run your chakra through this. Naruto looked questioning at the Hokage for a moment before complying. When he did, the paper split into two, whereafter each piece turned dark brown, before crumbling. Now Naruto looked even more confused. What just happened, Gigi? Naruto looked at the Hokage. Well, Naruto, it looks like you have a Kekkai Genkai, the old Hokage replied calmly. A what? Naruto asked, looking more confused than ever. After 20 minutes of the older shinobi trying to explain the basics of elemental manipulation and Kekkai Genkai, the blonde finally got it somewhat. But how? I mean, wait, you said this Kekkai Genkai is genetic, right? The old Hokage looked at Naruto, knowing where this was going. Yes, it is. Do you think? Maybe Rest was mumbling, as he turned his head down. Sorry, Naruto, you will have to speak up. I'm not as young as I have been, the old Hokage said to Naruto with a kind smile. Do you think this will help me finding out who my parents were? We just have to find someone who had the same abilities as me, and they must have been my family, right? Naruto asked hopefully. The old man looked sad at Naruto. I don't think that's possible. It is true that Shoton is a Kekkai Genkai, but it isn't bound to a family as, let's say, the Byakugan is. I wish I could tell you who your parents were. You just have to be a bit stronger before I can tell you. Minato and Kushina had some powerful enemies. Just hold on a bit longer. You will know soon enough. Naruto's mood dropped a second, but he came right up again, smiling. I guess I'll just have to find another way then. The older shinobi smiled at that. There were very few in this world similar to Naruto. The Sandaime then caught the glance he was getting from Iruka. He sighed deeply. He didn't know how Naruto would react. Naruto, he said gently. He got the attention of the blue-eyed blonde about the Kyuubi. Are you okay? Naruto's smile faltered slightly, but he was still smiling. Yeah. I guess I'm kind of relieved. The Sandaime Hokage eyed him. Relieved? Yeah. I finally understand why. Why all the villagers hate me so much. Why I'm getting all those looks. Guess I'll just have to work harder on getting them to acknowledge me, despite that damned fox. Iruka was smiling at his student. He was proud at how well he was handling it. He wasn't sure he could have done it well as him. That's good to hear, Naruto. Don't let it get you down. If you have any problems, no matter whom or what it is, you just come to me. My door is always open. That got Naruto to grin while putting his hand behind his head. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Well, it's good that that's settled. Now, Naruto, we don't know how this Shogun works, so please don't use any chakra before we have taken a look at how it's used. The old Hokage said with a serious undertone. Naruto nodded. The Sandaime then turned to Jiraiya. Jiraiya, meet with me and Naruto tomorrow at Training Ground 43 at noon. Hi. Good. The Sandaime turned to Naruto. Naruto. I know. Tomorrow at Training Ground 43 at noon. Don't use chakra until then. Can I go now? Naruto asked eagerly. Now, having spent almost 2 hours in the room, he was getting restless. The Sandaime chuckled. Yes, you can go. You're dismissed. And then the blonde shinobi dashed out of the office. The Hokage then turned towards Iruka. You're dismissed too, Iruka. Iruka nodded and made his way to the door. Halfway there he turned to face the Hokage. Do you think he will be okay? The Sandaime looked up at Iruka with a smile. You really do care about him, don't you? Iruka nodded with a smile. I think he will be fine. He has gotten some answers today. That should help him some. Hi, Iruka said before continuing walking towards the office door. Just as he was about to close the door, the old Hokage called him out. Iruka, take care of him. Iruka just smiled at the Hokage. Hi. The following day at Training Ground 43. Naruto and the Sandaime were talking as there were still a few minutes until they should meet with Jiraiya. Hiruzen turned towards Naruto and took a good look at him. He still wore that bright orange jumpsuit. Naruto, don't you think it's time you soon bought some new clothes? Naruto looked outrageous at the Hokage at that question. Why? What is wrong with my clothes? He asked while looking down, tucking on his clothes a bit. Well, you're ninja now. And ninjas can't really go around with bright colors so the enemy will spot them faster, can they? I guess you have some point, Naruto grumbled. But what am I supposed to do? I can't really go into a regular clothing store, since they won't sell me anything. And the few places that will triple or quadruple the prices as soon as I enter. Hiruzen frowned at that. Naruto had a good point. He would have to talk to the boy's new Jounin instructor about that. Maybe he could help him. A puff of smoke appeared in front of them. Glad to see you could make it, Jiraiya, Hiruzen said to his former student. I hope I'm not late. No, you just made it. Well, let's get to it. The two elder shinobi turned towards Naruto. Now, the reason we're here is because we need to make sure your Shoten isn't dangerous, the Hokage said. Why would it be dangerous? The orange-clothed genin asked. It was Jiraiya who answered. Well, normally with jutsu, the greater the power, the greater are the risks. We want to make sure you don't hurt yourself. Naruto didn't seem convinced but complied. Jiraiya nodded at Hiruzen. Good then. Naruto, can you tell me how you did it in the forest? I don't really know. I just tried everything to save Iruka-sensei. I was desperate and was willing to do anything to save him. I had my arm put out like this, Naruto said while showing what he had done. The earth began to quake, and pink crystals appeared out of the ground, the same way it had done the evening before. Both Jiraiya and Hiruzen were wide-eyed. While Hiruzen had seen it through his crystal ball, it was another thing to see it happen with your own eyes. How did you do it? Jiraiya asked. I don't know. I just channeled some chakra, while thinking of the crystals from yesterday, Naruto answered. Jiraiya thought about that for a bit. He then got an expression like he had an idea, tried to think of it shattering. Naruto did what he said, and to his amazement, the crystals shattered in tiny pieces, making the air glitter lightly in pink. Amazing was all Jiraiya could say. Hiruzen looked at Jiraiya. What are you thinking? I think it's controlled by his thoughts. He has to channel the chakra to make it, but he just have to think of what he wants, and it's going to do it. It will probably not work on higher level jutsu, but on the lower, I would say D and C rank jutsu. He just has to think of it. Hiruzen nodded while looking at Naruto. Okay, Naruto, try to make. Next morning in Naruto's apartment. Naruto yawned loudly while stretching. He took a few minutes sitting in bed and waking up, before making his way to the bathroom. While he was taking a bath, he was thinking about what happened yesterday. They had discovered a lot about his Shoten. It is a combination of Futon and Doton, as the chakra paper had said. Jiraiya had theorized that he used Doton to find minerals and stuff like that, while he used Futon to compress it under high pressure, successfully making crystals. He could crystallize anything they put him to. Earth, wood, water, grass, really anything that had mass, and was an energy. He could even crystallize living things, as they had discovered when he accidentally crystallized a bug. It was really like having a weapon on hand all the time. Jiraiya had also told him about the secrets of Kage Bunshin halfway through the day, so he had made about 100 clones, putting them to learning his Shoten, thus why he already had such control over it. Jiraiya said he was the only one who could train this way, due to him having such a large chakra reserves. When they were about to leave, Hiruzen had pulled him aside and asked him to go to the library today. Naruto wasn't really a reader, and had complained loudly about it, but as Hiruzen said, if you want to be a ninja and the Hokage nonetheless, you need to have knowledge about the world. If not, people will just use you. That had made Naruto promise that he would do it. He also planned to go find a store who would sell him a new outfit, though he didn't know if he would be successful. Naruto ate his breakfast and brushed his teeth, before making his way out the door. Scram, demon! And don't come back! Naruto sighed as he was kicked out of another store. Walking off, Naruto tried to think of a way to get into a store. He could use henge, but it would dispel as soon as someone touched him. And he couldn't just use the I'm a ninja under the direct command of the Hokage deal. It would only work on buildings owned by the government, like the library, not private-owned stores. He sighed deeply again. Looking around, the blonde found a store that looked fairly nondescriptive. The only sign that told him it was for shinobi was the rather large kunai symbol above the door, and the sign that read Higurashi Weapon Shop. Deciding to give this place a try, Naruto walked in. Looking around, the first thing Naruto noticed was that whoever owned this place had an obvious love for weapons. There were racks upon racks of weapons lining the entire shop. Swords, staffs, size, it seemed that anything anyone could name was there. He had never seen so many different weapons in one place ever, and some of these weapons he had never seen at all. It was enough to make even someone like Naruto, who knew next to nothing about weapons, drool. "Can I help you?" Naruto stiffened and almost shouted as he spun around. Behind him was a young girl that was maybe a year older than him, wearing a Chinese-style pink tank top, dark green cargo pants, and had her hair done up in 2 buns. To Naruto they made her kind of look like a panda. Or a mouse. Naruto did his best not to snicker at the thought. "Hello?" Tenten asked, while waving her hand in front of Naruto's face. He blinked a couple of times. What?" Naruto said, blushing in embarrassment as he took a step back and put a hand behind his head. The girl just looked at him before she rolled her eyes at the kid's inattentiveness and shrugged. "I was asking if you needed help finding anything." Naruto blinked in surprise. "You work here?" "That's right," the girl said. "My name is Higurashi Tenten. My father owns this store, so I come in and help when I'm not on missions." "You're a shinobi then?" Naruto asked curiously. "Yep, I've been a shinobi for about a year now," Tenten replied. "That's awesome," Naruto stated with a large grin. "I just graduated." He blinked as he remembered why he was here. "You know, you can help me. I was looking into getting some new clothes." "I can see why," Tenten said with an amused smirk. "Your clothes are hideous." "Hey," Naruto said, feeling the need to defend his clothes. "These clothes are warm and comfortable and ugly," Tenten finished with a grin. "Seriously, who wears orange?" "I like orange," Naruto shouted indignantly. Seriously, what was it with people continuing to diss on the color orange? It was the best color in the world. "It's my favorite color." "Even so, it's not a very good color for a ninja," Tenten replied, finding the boy's defensiveness amusing. "Especially when it's so bright." He took a deep breath to calm down a bit. "I guess I can see the logic in that. Anyways, can you help me?" "Sure," Tenten replied, amused by Naruto's reaction. She took him over to the clothing section of the store. "So what are you looking for exactly?" she asked. Naruto thought about what he wanted to look like. He needed something that made him look cool and added a mysterious persona to him. Something that screamed powerful and awesome. Something. "You know, I'm not sure," he said sheepishly. "I've never really shopped for clothes before." So he had actually tried clothes shopping once when he was 6 and had just gotten an apartment. However, the store owners had kicked him out before he could actually shop. That had actually been the same day he found his jumpsuits in the trash, after the same store he tried to shop from had thrown them away. "You're kidding, right?" Tenten looked at him incredulously. When he shook his head, she sighed. "Then it looks like we're just going to have to see what works." She pulled him over to the clothing section of the store, where she began grabbing different styles of clothes and then making him change into many styles she gave him, essentially turning him into a life-size dress-up doll. Eventually she found a style that fit. Now Naruto was wearing dark black shinobi pants that tucked into a pair of black shinobi sandals. He had a black sleeveless Chinese-style shirt like hers but with the dark orange trims and with the Uzumaki swirl on the back of it. She had tried to talk him out of wearing any orange, but was unsuccessful in getting the blonde to completely rid himself of his favorite color. At least there was less orange than before, and it was in a darker tone than his jumpsuit had been. His hands were covered in fingerless gloves and his arms were also covered in black bandages up to his biceps. Lastly, she changed the strap of his hitate from the dark blue color to black. "There, you look much better now," Tenten said, smiling at him. Indeed, he did look much better. Now that she was seeing him without all the orange, he actually looked cute. "Now you're like a real shinobi." "You think so?" Naruto blushed as he scratched the back of his head. "Of course. So will that be all?" Tenten asked. "Yes, I think so. For now anyway," he responded with a smile. "Tenten, are you out front?" Both Naruto and Tenten yelled as they spun around. Naruto found himself staring at a bull of man. Large and built like brick shit house. The man had muscles on every part of his body that Naruto could see. He even had muscles on his muscles. He had brown hair and brown eyes much like Tenten. He was wearing an off-white shirt, brown pants and a pair of brown boots. "Damn it, Tusan!" Tenten shouted as she clutched a hand to her chest. "How many times have I told you not to sneak up on me? And especially when I'm with a customer." Tenten's dad merely laughed. "Ah, take it easy, Tenten. Besides, aren't you shinobi supposed to be more aware of your surroundings? Do you want to be used as target practice again? Tenten asked with a maniacal gleam in her eyes and had one of her hands inside her kunai pouch. Her dad merely sweats dropped before he coughed and turned his attention to Naruto. He looked him up and down, immediately recognizing him. That didn't matter to him. He wasn't as narrow-sighted as some of the other villagers. He worked with sealing scrolls on a daily basis. He knew that the boy in front of him wasn't the demon. And if he had been, he would probably already have destroyed the village, with the way some treated him. Naruto watched with a mixture of shock and weariness as the man looked him over. He was already expecting to get thrown out. No one wanted to sell the demon brat anything. But Tenten's dad just smiled at him, walking over to the cash register, typing in all that his daughter had noted on a block. Now all that stuff you got there will come to around 5,000 yen, Tenten's dad said. Naruto cringed a bit but got out the necessary money. It would put him back by a lot, especially since he would no longer be able to gain a stipend from the Hokage since he was a ninja. But this was for his shinobi career, so he had to. He took out his frog-shaped green wallet, much to the amusement of Tenten, and put the money on the table. Thank you, kid. Hope you'll come back, Tenten's dad said to Naruto while counting the money Naruto had left. He gave the two there one of his most brilliant smiles. Thanks, Mr. Kaido, the man replied. Thanks, Kaido-san. Naruto bowed before grabbing his equipment and running off with a grin. I'll make sure your store becomes famous when it's selling to me as the Hokage, he yelled out as he left for the library. Naruto was standing outside a big building, a building he had never thought he would set foot in, the library. He sighed deeply and made his way through the front doors. He hadn't made his way in more than a few meters when a voice called out behind him. Can I help? What do you want? I'm sorry, but you will have to leave now. Naruto turned around to see who it was. It turned out to be the custodian, a woman who looked to be in her mid-50s said, spitting out the word boy with venom. Naruto remembered what Hiruzen had said to him the day before. Naruto tapped his finger on his Hittite. I am a ninja of Konoha, under the command of the direct command of the Hokage. And can I remind you that this is a government-owned building? And who again runs the government? That's right, the Hokage does. Thus, you can't kick me out of here. The custodian was clearly irritated by this, but as Naruto had pointed out, she couldn't kick him out. She sighed, fine, but if you break anything, you will be sorry, she said, and walked away. Naruto snorted mentally at this. Since he was told about the Kyuubi, he had been near stunned by the naivety of the population of Konoha. One thing was the civilians who knew nothing of sealing, but the ninja population too? They used sealing on a daily basis. He shook it off him, and made his way to the shinobi section of the library. When he was there, he put his hands in a ram seal, making 10 clones. Alright guys, I need your help finding some books. Anything on chakra, seals, taijutsu and basic shinobi skills will be fine. Also, try to find something on Bijou, Jinchuriki and anything related with that said. He and his clones looked through the bookshelves looking for said books. In the end he found 27 on the various subjects. He made his way home, and began to read. 3 days later. Naruto was on his way to training ground 43. Gigi had given it to train the week before the team assignments, which was still 2 days away. Gigi had said it was because he needed to get his Shoton under control before getting on a team, so he wouldn't put them or himself in danger with it. He made his way to the training field, and did what he had done the last few days. He put his hand to form the ram seal, and made about 100 clones, and split them up to do various tasks. 50 clones were working on his Shoton, which were coming along nicely. He had learned to crystallize stuff fast, and could even make crystals from the humidity in the air. He had also made quite a few new jutsu, most of them based on jutsu of other elements. It wasn't as hard as he had thought it to be. He would just have to think about something crystallizing, and it would. The next 25 were working on his chakra control. He had perfected the floating lead exercise that they had learned in the academy, and were now slowly making progress on the tree climbing exercise. He could run up the tree by now, and could walk about 2/4 of the way. He had decided that he wouldn't move on before he could fight on a vertical surface for about 10 minutes. And the last quarter were reading anything he could get his hands on. Most of the jutsu and exercises were from the books. He had learned a lot about Bijou, one of the subjects he was most interested in, for obvious reasons. He continued training the next few days, until the team assignments. The day of the team assignments. The alarm clock ringed high. Naruto almost fell out of his bed, trying to punch the stupid thing into oblivion. When he finally managed to turn off the stupid thing, he sat up, scratching his eyes and looked around with sleepy eyes. He saw the calendar, and within a second he was wide awake. Today I get my team assignment. He jumped out of the bed and made his way to the bathroom to wash up and brush teeth. He thought about what he had done the last week. He had advanced rather quickly due to the Kage Bunshin. He had done almost 2 years of training in the last week. He now had decent control over Shoten, but it could still be improved. His chakra control were a ton better. He could no fight on the tree surface for about 4 minutes before he fell off. And he had read. He was surprised how much it had mattered. He could actually understand what people were saying most of the time now. Nothing like when the week started. Overall, he had improved a lot, though he still needed to be careful. The third day he had dispelled all his clones at once, and had fainted from fatigue alone. He had woken up an hour later with a throbbing headache. He wasn't do that again, and had the following days dispelled his clones in groups of 10, with a few minutes interval. He had also met Konohamaru, the honorable grandson of the Sandaime Hokage, and his teacher Ebisu, who hated his guts. He had met Konohamaru when he had turned in his ninja registration form. Konohamaru had come to challenge the Sandaime for the title of Hokage, but had tripped over his own scarf, halfway across the room. It had been fun to see the reaction of his teacher, when he slammed him across the head after he learned who he was. Konohamaru had followed him later, asking him to teach him. Naruto had complied, and taught him Henj no Jutsu and Oiroku no Jutsu. Later Ebisu had come, saying he didn't want Naruto to teach. Konohamaru couldn't figure out why, but Naruto knew right away, when he saw the eyes of Ebisu. It was the same as most of the villagers, full of hate towards him, for something he had no control over whatsoever. He had beaten him with his new Hashirama no Jutsu, sending him flying halfway across Konoha because of his nosebleed. He had after told Konohamaru that there was no shortcut to becoming the Hokage, and that he had to beat him to get there. Konohamaru told him that they weren't student and teacher anymore, they were rivals. He had left after that. After he was done in the bathroom, he made his breakfast, which was made up of bread and various vegetables. Naruto had read that he needed to eat better if he wanted to grow. Naruto was still the shortest from his class, which annoyed him to no end. He was sitting and eating, looking across the room. He saw the new picture he had put up the day before. It was his picture for the ninja registration. He had asked Hiruzen if he could get a copy of it to hang up, and was allowed. He was in the picture, of course, and stood with an angel to the camera, with his hand back down towards the ground, pointing slightly towards it. From his hand, to the corner of the picture, and across the top, the air was glimmering slightly pink, clear evidence of his Shoten. It had taken some persuasion on his part, but the Hokage had finally said yes. He was quite proud of it, clear evidence of his shinobi status. After he was done with his breakfast, he bolted out the door, and made his way to the academy. Today I'm going to get a team. I am officially going to be a genin, a ninja of Konoha. It's the first step on the way to become the Hokage. Naruto made his way towards the academy, ignoring the usual stares and glares. It didn't really bother him anymore, he had gotten used to it over the years. The only difference the last week was that he knew why he was getting them. That helped a lot, it was a burden lifted from his shoulders. He didn't have to wonder why. He walked down one of the alleys, when he saw a person trying to blend in with the railing behind him, using a sheet as cover. The only problem was that it was hanging 90 degrees wrong. He knew right away who it was. Before he could call him out, Konohamaru jumped out from his cover yelling at him, "Fight me!" Sadly, he hadn't even taken one step, before he tripped over the sheet. Naruto's sweat dropped. "What are you doing, Konohamaru?" "I expect nothing less from the man I respect," Konohamaru said, getting up. Naruto was silent for a few seconds. "I didn't do anything. You tripped, again." Konohamaru totally ignored this and got up, making a hand sign, "Fight fair and square." Naruto shook his head. "Sorry, Konohamaru. I have to go to my team assignment meeting now." "Team assignment?" the boy asked, confused. "Yeah, I'm a ninja of Konoha starting today," he said, smiling, pointing at his Hittite. Konohamaru stared in awe. He smiled at his big brother figure. "Okay, and I-san. I guess we'll have to do it another day then," and with that, the two boys went on their way. Naruto made it to the academy a little earlier than normal. Heck, normally he would have met at least an hour late, since none of the teachers really bothered with him. But that wasn't on his mind today. Today was the first day in the rest of his life, the first step towards becoming the Hokage. Nothing could bring him down. If he was honest with himself, he didn't care much about which team he was assigned. Just not Sasuke team. He is way too broody for me. And I wouldn't mind getting on the same team as Sakura-chan, though I could image her having a problem with me. I guess I'll do what Tenten told me to. Flashback 3 days ago. Naruto was walking down one of Konoha's many streets with Tenten. Since the day he had come her father's store, they had become friends. Well, Naruto's first real friend at his own age. Shikamaru and Chuji didn't hate his guts, but they weren't close either. So, have you gotten your team assignment yet? Tenten asked. Naruto shook his head. Nah, we're getting them in 3 days. If I'm honest, I don't really care what team I get on. I'm just happy I graduated. Huh, so you don't care at all? There is no one you would or would rather not be with? She asked doubtingly. Naruto looked at his new friend with a small smile. Well, there is this one guy. Sasuke team, he just gets on my nerves all the time. Wait, Sasuke? As in Uchiha Sasuke? The sole survivor of the Uchiha clan massacre? That's the guy, he said while nodding. Ouch, I can understand that. I mean, I can't set myself into his place, to get his whole clan killed, but he is just so brooding. Exactly, she smiled. She rather liked Naruto. Not in romantic manner, but he was a good friend. It was a good break from her two teammates, and their eccentric sensei. Naruto was a funny guy, maybe a bit straightforward with things, but nothing she couldn't handle. She took a look around and saw the glares of the villagers. It wasn't her they were glaring at, it was her new friend. She had tried to ask him about it, but he had changed subject rather quickly. She knew that he had pranked most of the villagers when he was a kid. She had found them rather funny. And then a few days ago, when painted the Hokage monument, she was impressed. It wasn't anyone who could overpaint a monument, which was visible for most of the village, in daylight, wearing an orange jumpsuit. When she had asked how he had done it, he had answered, it's easy when no one wants you to exist. That time it was her who changed subject. She was pulled out of her train of thoughts when Naruto started talking again, and then there is Sakura-chan. She raised an eyebrow while smiling. So there's a girl? I guess she hung up on the Uchiha then? Yeah. Can you believe it? And every time she asks him on a date, he turns her down, and still she won't go out with me, he answered, a bit moping. So, how many times have you asked her on a date? Every time I see her? It's usually just after she gets turned down by Sasuke. I have an advice if you want. Naruto nodded eagerly. Back off. What? Naruto said disbelievingly. I said back off. Try to stop asking her on a date every time you see her. Try just to be there for her. You know, maybe in time she will come around, she said while winking at her blonde friend. Maybe. Okay, I'll try it, he said, showing her one of his big bright smiles. Good, she nodded approvingly. Flashback end. Naruto opened the door to his classroom and made his way inside. He hadn't stepped 3 steps inside before a boy stepped in front of him. Naruto, today is the team assignments. You do know that you would actually have to pass the exam if you want in on it, right? It from the brown-haired boy. He wore a pair of dark grayish pants to reach down to his calves, and a gray hooded fur-lined coat with a hood he wore on his head. Under the hood, on his head, were a little white puppy. Alf alf. See, even Akamaru agrees, Kiba stated with a smug smile, petting his puppy. Naruto smiled right back at Kiba, while tapping his finger on his forehead. Protector, are you blind, dog breath? I have a Hittite, thus must I have passed. The Hokage himself passed me. Can you say the same for you? Kiba narrowed his eyes, and took a closer look at his Hittite, just to be sure it was real. When he was convinced, he just came with an humph and turned around to go back to his seat. The blonde genin shook his head with a smile of Kiba's antics. When he was done, he took a look around the classroom for an empty seat. As far as he could see, there were 3, one beside Sasuke team, and another beside that seat, and one in front of Chuji. The last option wasn't really an option in his opinion. It was a known fact that all the Akamichis were real greedy guts, and the new clan heir wasn't an exception. That alone wasn't the problem. The real problem was that not all of his food made the trip from the back it was in, to his mouth. So anyone who say in front of Chuji would be showered in food scraps. Naruto took a deep breath, and made his way over to the table where Sasuke sat, and took the seat furthest away from the Uchiha. Naruto reached for his pocket, and took up a book on Fuinjutsu and started reading it, much to the whole classroom's disbelief. Even the Uchiha was brought out of his brooding mood, and raised an eyebrow at the blonde shinobi. Hinata was looking from behind the classroom, where she had taken a seat. Naruto-kun was able to graduate. Maybe, just maybe, I can get on the same team as him, she thought hopefully. Before long, Naruto was brought out of his reading, when the whole classroom went quiet. They could all hear something rumbling, like some big animals, like rhinos or elephants, which were running. It was getting closer and closer. You would think that the class would become nervous at the apparent impending doom, but this was a daily routine for them. Before long, 2 girls almost fell in through the door. /I when they yelled, before turning to each other to glare. The first one Naruto recognized right away, it was Sakura-chan. She had bright pink hair, a color Naruto didn't know could appear naturally before he had met her, and green eyes. She also had a rather large forehead, and Naruto knew she had been bullied because of it. To him, though, it was just her, and he loved every part of it. She was wearing a red dress with a white circular design on her shoulders and her back, and she wore dark green shorts. She wore her hitaite like a hairband. The second girl was Ino, who had an ongoing rivalry with Sakura. She wore a short purple vest-like blouse with a raised collar, a skirt that was cut off on the sides and bandage on her stomach and legs. She also wore purple and white elbow warmers with this, and her hitaite around her waist as a belt. "I win again," Sakura Ino said. "What are you talking about? My pinky toe entered the classroom before yours by a whole centimeter," Sakura replied, glaring harder. Ino returned the glare. "Are you blind?" The two girls kept bickering like that, and the rest of the class went back to doing what they were doing before. That is, everyone but Naruto. He was looking at Sakura with a blush. He quickly looked away again. "Naruto, remember what Tenten said. Give her some space. But there she is. Looking over here. And now she's coming this way. Maybe she wants to sit beside me," he thought, as the pink-haired Kunoichi made her way over to the table where Naruto and Sasuke were sitting. He smiled at her. "Good morning, Sakura-chan." "Get out of my way. I want to sit there beside Sasuke-kun," she replied, pointing at the seat in between him and Sasuke. He sighed while getting out of his seat. "Fine, get in then." Sakura hadn't expected that. Normally Naruto would get going how uncool Sasuke was, and she would have to hit him. Thank you, Naruto," she said, taking her seat. She was just about to talk to Sasuke when Iruka came in through the door. "Okay, class, settle down." Most of them didn't hear him, causing a tick mark to appear on Iruka. He used his big scary head jutsu. "I said settle down." That got the desired effect. He cleared his throat. "Starting today, you are all official ninjas, but you are all still just new genin. It's going to get harder from here. You all will be in a group of 3, where you will accomplish missions under a jounin instructor." That got the class attention. Most of them hadn't expected a 3-man team. Naruto wasn't surprised. The Hokage had given him permission to train the last week because he was gonna be on a team. Iruka continued. "We've arranged the groups such that overall abilities are equivalent. I will now announce them. Team 1 is..." Naruto started reading his book again, just paying enough attention to react when his own name was called. Team 7 will be Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura. Internally Naruto was jumping up and down in happiness. Sakura quite the opposite, and Uchiha Sasuke that got the reversed effect. Naruto couldn't help but throw a quick glare at Sasuke. "Kami must really be against me. There are 27 people that have graduated, and I get on the same team as Sasuke team?" He sighed. "Well, at least I'm also on the same team as Sakura-chan." Next, Team 8, Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino. There won't be a Team 9, as last year's Team 9 is still in effect. Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Naro Shikamaru and Akamichi Tsuji. He called up the last few teams. "That's it for the teams. Now your Jounin sensei will be here after lunch. You can do what you want until then." With that said, the different teams went out the classroom. In the council chambers. It was the day of the assignments of the new genin teams, and thus there was a council meeting. Currently all were present but the Hokage. The chambers consisted of the Hokage's seat at the end of multiple tables. Beside the Hokage's seat were 2 smaller tables where the elders sat. Their names were Hamura Midokado, Koharu Udatain and Shimura Danzo. Hamura and Koharu were old teammates of Hiruzen, and had retired from their shinobi carriers and settled back as elders and counselors for the Sandaime. Danzo was an old rival of Hiruzen. While he had Konoha's best at heart, he didn't always care of the way to get there. From the Hokage's seat point of view, the left side was reserved for the business people of Konoha, the 6 that had been elected from their respective areas. These didn't have Konoha's best at heart. What they cared about was getting more power and getting more wealth. The right side was reserved for the 8 major clans of Konoha: Senju, Uchiha, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Aburame, Akamichi, Nara and Yamanaka. Though, because of the Uchiha massacre, the Uchiha seat was empty until the time of the last Uchiha to be 16 years of age, and the Senju seat was empty because the last known survivor of said clan, Senju Tsunade, wasn't in Konoha, and hadn't been for years. These people were the only one beside the Hokage who were not thinking of ways to get more power, but had Konoha's best at heart. In the seat closest to the Hokage's was none other than Hayashi Hyuga, the head of the Hyuga clan, which was currently the largest clan in Konoha. Hayashi was a man who, despite his cold demeanor, always put his clan and Konoha first, even when it went against his own beliefs. The next seat from Hayashi was Sim, the clan head of the Inuzuka clan. This clan was well known for their collaboration with ninja dogs, their pack mentality, and their hot-headedness. They always believed in looking out for family, and were well known for their fierce loyalty to others. Sitting next to the Inuzuka matriarch was Shibi Aburame, the clan head of the Aburame clan. The Aburames were well known as a clan that followed logic, believing that to do otherwise would cause more issues to arise than need be. They were also ostracized because of the bugs they carry. The last in the lineup were the members of the Yamanaka, Nara, and Akamichi clans, who were well known for their powerful teamwork. These three were Inoichi, Shikaku, and Chuza, and they had been known as the Inashikacho Trio, due to the teamwork they used during the Third Great Shinobi War. Finally, the Sandaime entered the chambers, and took his seat. As it seems we're all here, we will get started. Now, first point of order is... Sorry, Sandaime-sama, but I have disturbing news that I think the council should hear. Danzo interrupted the Hokage. Hiruzen didn't seem affected by this, as he had known this would come sooner or later. He was pretty sure it was because of Naruto and his Shoten. He knew he wouldn't be able to keep it a secret long after he allowed Naruto's ninja registration photo to be taken. That, and that he had allowed the blonde to use one of the training ground by himself. He was sure that Danzo would have picked up on that. What is it, Danzo-san? Hiruzen asked more politely than he would have out of the council chambers. It has come to my attention that you have reserved a whole training field for a newly graduated genin. It intrigued me, but I let it go. I'm not one to question the Hokage. Hiruzen mentally scoffed at that. Danzo questioned every action he took. He had tried to get his hand on the seat for a long time. Other than that, he had tried to get his hands on Naruto more than one time, willing to turn him into a weapon of Konoha, due to his Jinchuriki status. He was sure that he would try even harder now that he had found out about the blonde's new Kekkai Genkai. Hiruzen was, of course, greatly opposing of this. Minato had asked him to make sure Naruto would be safe. He couldn't do much about the villagers, but this he could. He wouldn't let Naruto fall into the grasps of the old warhawk. Danzo looked over the chamber. He could see that he had piqued their interest. But then a few days ago, when the elders and I went over the new ninja registration forms, we came across this, he said, taking out Naruto's photo, sending it around the council. He could see many confused looks. We, like you, had no idea what this was. So I sent some of my guards to look for the Jinchuriki. They found him at earlier mentioned training ground. He was training to use Shoten. Yes, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has Shoten. An hour later. Enough of this. Yes, Naruto has Shoten, but it isn't dangerous. Jiraiya and I have observed and made sure of that. The reason I allowed Naruto to use that training ground was so he could get it under control, and so he wouldn't put his team at risk, Hiruzen said loudly and irritated. The last hour had been nothing but accusations, and pleads about putting the boy down, letting Danzo have him. If any other shinobi or citizen of Konoha had awakened Shoten, you would all be delighted. But because it's Naruto, you're acting like this? I won't have it, he continued, while glaring around the council. The shinobi side had been concerned, but had calmed a bit down. It was the civilians and the elders that caused problem. They hated the boy's guts, because of the Kyuubi. Now I have given you all the answers I'm willing, so we're gonna get on with this council meeting. Now, for the first point of order. Lunch at the academy. Sakura was sitting on a bench outside the academy. They still had some time before their Jounin sensei would pick them up. She had just had a not-so-friendly conversation with Sasuke. He had told her that he thought she was annoying. You're annoying, huh? I see. Naruto must have felt the same way. Maybe I can be nicer starting now. I could give him a chance. I never really have gotten to know him. I always brush him off as a pest. She was brought out of her thoughts when she saw Naruto coming her way eating a dango. It didn't seem like he had seen her yet. Alright, this is my chance to be nicer to him. Remember to smile, not scowl, smile. With that, she had a really strained smile on her face. Hey Naruto, let's go back to the classroom. Naruto looked up at her. Sakura-chan. I thought you would be with Sasuke, he said, the last part a bit sad. Sakura didn't miss that. Yeah, but he had to go do something else. Come on, let's go back to class, she said. This brought a big smile to Naruto's face. You're a genius, Tenten. 3 hours later in the classroom. Why is our sensei the only one who's late? All the other teams have been picked up hours ago, Sakura said, annoyed. Team 7 was still sitting in the classroom. Or Sasuke and Naruto were sitting in their desk, and Sakura was going back and forth, getting impatient with their new sensei. Naruto sighed and looked up from his book. Sakura-chan, it can't be helped. He'll get here when he get here. While he agreed with her, he was getting rather annoyed with Sakura. She had been like that for the last hour, coming with outbursts every 10 minutes or so. Sakura turned to look at Naruto in disbelief, before gathering herself. Okay, if Naruto asks me to calm down, I really must be tiring. I mean, He is the most hyper person I know. But that means Sasuke-kun also thinks that I'm getting annoying, again. She took a deep breath to calm herself down, before taking the seat beside Sasuke. Naruto eyed her, before going back to reading his book. 15 minutes later, a silver-haired jounin entered the room. Sakura couldn't help herself, and jumped up screaming, "You're late." He just stared at them passively. "How should I say this? My first impression of you guys is I hate you." Sakura got a moping expression, while Naruto and Sasuke got a better look at their sensei. He was wearing the standard Konoha shinobi outfit, along with iron-plated gloves. His face was mostly covered by his mask, and his left eye was covered by his hitate. All in all, they couldn't get a real good look at him. "Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes," he said before shining away. 5 minutes later on the roof, Kakashi was looking over his student. He was mostly looking on Naruto. "Kami, he looks so much like you, sensei." Then he turned his gaze to the Uchiha. "I really hope I can help him, before chooses a path that he can't be saved from." When the 5 minutes were up, he spoke. "Let's see, why you don't introduce yourselves?" "Introduce ourselves? What should we say?" Sakura asked. Kakashi shrugged. "What you like, hate, your dreams, and hobbies. Something like that." "Why don't you introduce yourself first, sensei? So we know what to say," Naruto said. "Me? I'm Hatake Kakashi. I have no intention of telling you my likes and dislikes. As for my dream, I have few hobbies." The 3 genin were left with sweat drops on the back of their heads. Sakura turned to her new teammates. "So all we found out was his name?" Naruto nodded at it. "Now it's your turn. Blondie, you go first." Naruto shot a quick glare for his new nickname. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, Ichiraku ramen, my friend Tenten, and Hokage Ajisen. I dislikes are the 3 minutes you have to wait for your ramen to finish after you have poured water over it, people who will hurt my friends, and can't seem to tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it's sealed inside." This caused Kakashi to raise an eyebrow. He, of course, knew what Naruto was talking about. Sasuke and Sakura looked confused at Naruto. Naruto just continued, acting like he hadn't noticed. "My hobbies are training, hanging out with Tenten, and tasting new kinds of ramen. And my dream for the future, I want to become the greatest Hokage and make everyone in the village acknowledge me. I also want to find out who my parents were." He finished, getting nods from Kakashi. "Hi, next you, Pinky. I'm Haruno Sakura. I like the person I like is." Sakura glances at Sasuke. "And my hobbies are my dream is to." Glances at Sasuke again, and giggles like crazy. "And? What do you dislike?" Kakashi asked. "Naru, I mean I dislike Ino Pig." Sakura finished looking over at Naruto. "I promised that I would try to give him a chance. And I start today." Naruto looked surprised. He was half convinced that she would have said his name, and knew she almost did what happened to her. Kakashi looked at Sakura. Girls her age must be more interested in love than ninja training. Well, at least she's trying to be nice. Now you, last guy. Sasuke didn't look up when talked. "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There are many things that I hate, and there aren't a lot of things that I like. Also, I have an ambition that I have no intention to leave as just a dream. The revival of my clan, and to kill a certain man." Naruto looked at Sasuke. "I guess it's the man who killed his clan." Sakura was still hyped after her own introduction. "Sasuke is cool." Kakashi, on the other hand, had a brief look of seriousness in his eyes. "Just as I thought." He quickly got back to his old careless look. "All right, you 3 all have unique personalities. I like that. We're going to begin a mission starting tomorrow. First, we're gonna do something we 4 can do together. Survival training." "Survival training? Kakashi-sensei, we have just been 3 years of training in the academy. Can't we just go ahead and start missions?" Naruto asked, rather annoyed. "This is no ordinary training," Kakashi replied. Now Sakura was looking annoyed. Can't he just get to the point? "Then what kind of training is it?" Kakashi started laughing, freaking the 3 genin out a bit. Sakura looked more annoyed than ever. "What is so funny, sensei?" "Well, if I say this, I'm sure you 3 are going to be shocked. Out of the 27 graduates, only 9 are going to become genin. The other 18 will be sent back to the academy. In other words, this training is going to be a very hard test with a dropout rate of 66%. And as Kakashi had predicted, the 3 genin were very shocked. "See? You 3 are shocked," he said, pointing at them. "Are you kidding me? What was the final exam for?" Naruto asked in complete disbelief. "That? It just picks out those who are qualified to become genin. Did you really think that 3 jutsu were gonna get you graduated? Out there is a world whose only goal is to get you killed. We're not going to send anyone out there who isn't prepared." He paused to let it sink in. "Anyway, I'm going to determine whether you pass or fail tomorrow at Training Ground 7. Bring your ninja equipment, and meet at 5 a.m. Kakashi could see how shocked the three genin were. Even Sasuke, who had until now composed himself, trembled some. Now then, meeting over. Oh yeah, don't eat breakfast. You're going to throw it up if you do. 5 a.m. at Training Ground 7. The three genin of Team 7 came from each their own direction, every one of them half asleep. Good morning, Sakura said tiredly. Hey, it came from Naruto. And the three of them waited and waited and waited. 3 hours later. Finally, Kakashi came going from the tree line. Hi fellows. Good morning. You're late. Both Naruto and Sakura yelled at him, while pointing accusingly at him. Now normally the new and improved Naruto wouldn't do that, but the lack of sleep and his empty stomach made him momentarily pick up some of his old habits. Yeah, you see, a black cat crossed my path, so Kakashi replied, but trailed off when he saw the faces of Team 7. He cleared his throat. Let's move on. He went over to a clock on a stub a few meters from the genin alarm set at 12 p.m. He then turned towards them and took out 2 bells to show today's topic is to get one of these bells from me. Whoever can't, will have no lunch. What? It came from Naruto, but was ignored by Kakashi. I'm going to tie you there and eat lunch in front of you, he said, pointing at the 3 stubs, one of them having the alarm clock on it. At that moment the genin understood why he had told them not to eat breakfast. It took a few seconds for them to get over that. But wait, why are there only 2 bells? Sakura asked. Kakashi showed one of his eye smiles. I'm glad you asked, Sakura. Since there's only 2, at least one will have to be tied to the log. That person will fail, since he failed to complete the mission. The person will go back to the academy. It might just be 1, or it can be all 3. You can use Shuriken. You won't be able to get these, unless you come at me with the will to kill me. He looked at his team. There were no objections. Kakashi continued. We're going to start after I say ready. Start. Ready? Start. The genin quickly jumped away, hiding in the surrounding area. Kakashi calmly took out a book, and apparently started reading. The most important thing for a shinobi is to hide and conceal yourself. It seems like they got that part down. Naruto was hidden in a tree along the river going through the training ground. He was looking at Kakashi, thinking how to do this. This is a jounin, the highest rank of ninja, only surpassed by the Kages. I can't run head first in there, without having a plan. Just to get a few things down, there is no way that I can take him down. He can't be expecting us either, which means he is testing out skills. But he should already know them from our records from the academy. Well, beside me he must be testing our teamwork. Damn it! There is no way Sasuke team will team up with me. He thinks I'm a dope with no talents. And while Sakura has been nicer to me since yesterday, I don't think she'll go against her Sasuke-kun, so the only way we can work together is if I prove myself. And I prove myself by fighting against a jounin whom I have no chance of beating. Naruto sighed at the dilemma he was in. I guess there's no choice then. The only plus side I can see is that I can get some info on Kakashi, though he won't even be required to try. Naruto quickly formulated a plan. He made a few Kage Bunshin, and had them hide throughout the area. Naruto jumped out from his hiding spot, and made his way to the field where Kakashi was standing. He took his stance a couple of meters in front of Kakashi. Kakashi looked from his book, acting like he had only just seen Naruto. He looked back in his book. You do know that it's basics for a shinobi to attack from the shadows, right? Naruto, still in his stance, didn't take his eyes off Kakashi, observing everything. Yeah, but I figured there was no way that I, a newly graduated genin, could beat you, a seasoned jounin with years of experience. So I came to the conclusion that this test was to test our skills. Kakashi looked at him again. He is observing me, trying to find anything he can use against me. But he was cut short when the earth began to quake. His eyes widened when he saw razor-sharp crystals shooting out of the ground, trying to impale him. He quickly jumped back to avoid it. Shoten, Kesho no Hari. It came from Naruto. Kakashi took his eyes of the pink crystals, and looked at Naruto. For the first time since he had met Team 7, he was truly shocked. Was it not for years of experience in the field, and in the war, he would have shown emotions? Shoten, I haven't heard of that in a while. I think there was something up in Tano Kuni, but to think it would appear here in Konoha and it to appear in the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. The 2 other members of Team 7 weren't handling themselves as well as Kakashi was. Sakura's face was full of shock. Shoten? Is that even a Kekkai Genkai? And how can Naruto have it? She thought. How the hell should I know? Just don't get hit by it, Siche. It came from her inner self, which she completely agreed with. Sasuke had his eyes narrowed. How can the dobe have a Kekkai Genkai? He is a clanless loser with no family. Kakashi looked at Naruto over his book. Well, since you want to show your skills, why don't you? Very well then, Naruto said before charging. He aimed a punch in the guy, but it was easily parried by Kakashi. Kakashi frowned. The punch had been a lot harder than he would have thought it to be. It didn't stop Naruto. He aimed a kick at the ribs, but it was again parried. He then aimed a kick in the chest. Knowing that Kakashi would parry, he focused his chakra there. Kakashi parried, but was pushed back a few centimeters, much to Kakashi's surprise. Naruto used this to jump back through the air. Kakashi used this to his advantage, and threw a kunai. Naruto saw this, and quickly conjured up a hexagonal shuriken in his hand, and threw it to intercept the kunai. They clashed together and were pushed out of the way. Naruto landed with a smirk that was my Kesho. Rakuku Shuriken. Kakashi still had his book up, but he had to focus a lot more than he had thought, so he is able to crystallize the air around him. It may seem like he doesn't have a weapon, but everything around him is. Also, it doesn't seem like he needs to use hand signs, but how was he able to kick so hard so suddenly? Kakashi took a closer look at Naruto, and saw light reflect off him, which caused Kakashi to raise his visible eyebrow. Naruto nodded at Kakashi. It's just what you think, Kakashi-sensei. I call it Kesho no Yoro. Kakashi didn't react to think he ranked dead last. Kakashi was, to say the least, impressed. Kakashi, you're not going to retaliate? Naruto asked in a ready pose. Kakashi looked at Naruto. He knew that he wanted him to attack him, and that he had something up his sleeve. Kakashi shrugged before going through some hand signs. Sueton, Mizurappa. Kakashi took a deep breath, before beginning to spew out water towards Naruto. He made sure it wasn't as powerful as he would make it towards an enemy. He had to remember, this was just a test. What Naruto did next completely shocked Kakashi. Naruto raised his arm, just like to intercept, and when the water was a meter from him, it started crystallizing and split so it didn't hit him. Kakashi quickly realized that this jutsu weren't going to work. It was just supplying Naruto with more material to crystallize. Shoten, Kesho Hakadori. Naruto cried with the ram sign up. From the crystals that Naruto had just made, thousands of small hummingbirds were created. They appeared around Naruto, until there were no crystals left on the ground. With an unsaid command, they attacked. They closed in quickly, aiming all over Kakashi. Kakashi jumped into the air just in time to avoid them. When they hit the ground, they created a big cloud of debris. That was a close one, Kakashi thought, thinking he was out of harm's way. Shoten, Rakuku Shuriken, Ranbu. It came from several places around the clearing. From 5 places barrages of crystal shuriken was shot at him. Shit, he thought, before quickly performing Kawarimi no Jutsu. Naruto's shadow clones jumped out of hiding, before dispelling. Naruto nodded to himself in satisfaction, before jumping away. Now he just had to find the others. Naruto was jumping through the canopies when he heard Sakura scream. He quietly made his way there, making sure he wasn't detected by Kakashi. He finally found Sakura. She was lying motionless on the forest floor. He wasn't worried if she had been hurt. He knew Kakashi wouldn't take it that far. He made his way down to where she was, and after a brief examination it was clear she was under a genjutsu. He put 2 fingers on her forehead, while the other was in a ram sign kai. Slowly her eyes fluttered up. As soon as she could see where she was, she quickly got to her feet. Sasuke-kun. Relax, Sakura-chan. You were under a genjutsu, Naruto said, trying to get his teammate to calm down. But she was still going on about she had seen Sasuke dying. Sakura. That got her attention. Stop fussing like that. Sasuke is fine. You were under a genjutsu. Besides, this is just a test, so there is no way that Kakashi-sensei would hurt any of us badly. That seemed to sink in, but she quickly shook her head. But I need to find him fast. We don't have much time until the test ends, she said, starting to run out of the clearing. Naruto quickly grabbed her arm. What is it, Naruto Baka? Naruto sighed at her affectionate nickname for him. I agree, but we can't just take him on one-on-one. We need to work together, all 3 of us. Sakura stopped trying to struggle his way out of his grip, and he let her go. Then she turned to face him fully. But one of us will fail. Maybe, but it's better than all 3 of us failing. None of them said anything for a few seconds. Listen, I'll give the bells to you too. You like Sasuke, right? It was an obvious question he already knew the answer on, but she blushed deeply and nodded. Good, then you 2 can be on a team together. I'll just take another year at the academy. I already failed 3 times, what is 1 more time to that, right? Sakura was looking at Naruto in disbelief. Was he always this nice? I kind of feel bad at how I treated him. She nodded. Okay, let's go find Sasuke-kun. No, Sasuke said. Naruto stared at the black-haired genin in front of him with outrage. Why? You both will pass. We need to work together to get those bells. Sasuke scoffed. I don't need help from a clanless loser like you to do that. It didn't seem like that, when we found you buried to your neck before, Naruto replied with a bit of venom. They kept bickering like that, with Sakura just sitting between them. Now normally she would jump to the defense of her Sasuke-kun, but she could see the wisdom in Naruto's words, and she had seen what he could do with Shoten. Also, this meant that she would work together with Sasuke, and that she would be on the same team as Sasuke. But she knew they didn't have long time to do it. Sasuke-kun, we don't have very long time again before the test ends. Wouldn't it be better just to do it together and get it over with, she asked carefully, not wanting to get on the wrong side of Sasuke. Sasuke actually seemed to think about it. He looked up in the sky to see the sun's position. He scoffed. Fine. Naruto nodded at Sakura, who was overjoyed now. 2 minutes to 12. Kakashi was standing the middle of the clearing again. He looked over at the clock and sighed. I guess it's just another team that doesn't pass. I actually hoped they would. Sensei's son, a Shoten user, and Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, the last loyal Uchiha, a true genius, and the girl weren't bad either. She just needs to get over her fangirl stadium. Oh well, maybe next time. It was then that 3 Narutos ran out of the tree line. He watched them coming, but didn't do anything visible to counter them. They all brought their arms to what looked like a guard Shoten, Sway Shotu. On their forearms deep blue-colored crystal tantos formed. They charged forward as one, slashing like crazy at Kakashi. He could see that Naruto hadn't had this style practiced as much as the academy-style taijutsu. He kept parrying and dodging. At last, he decided that it was time to get rid of the clones. He kicked hard in one of the Naruto's stomach, and it dispelled. He was just about to do the same to the second, when he heard a voice shout behind him. Katon, Gokake no Jutsu! Sasuke yelled, spewing out a large fireball towards Kakashi. Kakashi saw this coming, and jumped out of the way. He was a little worried that it had hit Naruto, but it didn't last. As he saw them dispel, they were clones all along. He didn't have time to think, as he saw a barrage kunai being cast out of one of the trees. With closer inspection, he saw that it was Sakura. He brought up his kunai and began blocking them. He had just landed, when Naruto bolted out of the tree line again. He was getting closer and closer to Kakashi, and was just about there when the alarm ringed. All 3 genin looked in disbelief and despair at the clock. No, damn it! Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! Naruto said, mentally kicking himself for not being a bit faster. A few minutes later. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto were tied to the logs, and as Kakashi had said he would, was eating his lunch in front of them. Naruto's stomach was the loudest, but Sasuke's and Sakura's wasn't silent. Well then, none of you got the bells, Kakashi said. All of them were waiting for the dooming words. You passed, Kakashi said. They stared disbelieving at him. But you said that we would fail and be sent back to the academy if we didn't get the bells, Naruto exclaimed. Kakashi nodded. I lied, he stated flatly. But sensei, what was the test for then? Sakura asked. You 3 are the first I have passed. People I had previously were blockheads, who just thought about themselves, and didn't want to risk getting kicked back to the academy. They didn't want to work together because they knew one of them had to fail. But that is not how being a shinobi works, especially a Konoha shinobi. We work together, train together, and basically live together. He looked up in the sky. In the world of shinobi, those who break the rules are called scrum. But those who don't take care of their friends are even worse than scum. You guys work together to have a chance, even though you knew one of you would fail the test. So to answer your question, Sakura, it was to test your worth as a team. Naruto looked at Kakashi. As he moved around the logs to tie up the robes, he isn't that bad. He is actually kind of cool. When he had tied them up, he turned to them. The training ends here. Everyone passes. Team 7 will start doing missions starting tomorrow. Team 7 were jumping through the forests of Konoha, pursuing their target. It was faster than any of them thought it could be. They had used hours tracking it down, and now, for at least 45 minutes, chasing it. But they were gaining in on it. They were so close now. Their target had stopped. Team 7 quickly made their way to different hiding spots around their target. This is Sasuke, arrived at point B. It crackled through the radio. Sakura here, I have reached point C. Naruto here, reached point A. Kakashi was listening in, supervising them. Normally he would have scolded, as much as Kakashi now can scold people, them for taking so long, but this was no ordinary target. As soon as he heard they had reached their positions, he tapped his radio. If you're all in position, execute capture target T. Team 7 didn't need to hear any more than that. They jumped from their hiding spots, going after the target. It was fast, and dodged first Sakura's attempt, then Sasuke's. Naruto, seeing his opportunity, jumped into a tree, and came at it from above. It was a success. He grabbed the fur ball-shaped target. It was, to say the least, not happy. It turned around and began attacking Naruto. The cat Tora was captured. The crackling sound of Kakashi's voice over the radio sounded. Does it have a red ribbon on its right ear? Is it our target, Tora the cat? Sasuke looked lazily over at Naruto, who was getting beaten up by the small brown cat, and Sakura, who was giggling at her teammate's expense. Sasuke tapped his radio. Affirmative, Tora the cat is captured again. All the genin of Team 7 were starting to hate Tora. Since they had graduated 6 weeks ago, they had captured Tora the cat mission 16 times, 17 with this. For some reason the Hokage loved to give their team the most hellish missions. They had all agreed it was because of Kakashi's tardiness. At the mission delegation office. My sweet, dear Tora-chan, I missed you. I was so worried about you. My, you've gotten yourself really dirty, haven't you, dear? We will have to take a long, wet shower when we come home, a large lady in red said to the hellish cat, while hugging it to death, much to the satisfaction of Team 7. They were all grinning evilly at the feline abomination from hell. She turned towards Hiruzen and bowed. Thank you, Hokage-sama. I'm happy you're always willing to help. Then she turned towards Team 7 and thank you for helping. The Sandame nodded, while Kakashi smiled. No problem, Madam Sure Jimmy. We were happy to help. All the genin shot glares at Kakashi. Naruto scoffed mentally. We? What the hell do you mean with we? You didn't do a damn thing. If we get that mission one more time, I'm gonna kill that hellcat. I would be doing all of Konoha a favor. Sakura also mentally on the same lines. If you removed your eyes from that abomination of a book, sensei, you could have actually helped. Madam Sure Jimmy walked over to the Hokage and handed him the payment. Here you are, Hokage-sama. I must be going now, goodbye. Goodbye, Madam Sure Jimmy, and give my regards to Fire Daimyo Dano, the old Hokage said. She nodded at it, and made her way out the door. Hiruzen turned towards Team 7, to see Kakashi getting deadly glares from his team. Now Team 7, let's see what we have for you now. He looked through all the mission papers. Here we have it. Council member Yoji needs someone to babysit his child while he is out on business, grocery shopping in a neighboring town, and helping pick up potatoes at one of the Akamichi farms. Oh, come on. We have done nothing but D-ranks for almost 2 months. Can't you give us something just a little bit difficult? Naruto exclaimed. Sakura and Sasuke looked annoyed by it, but they had to agree. They too were getting tired of all the easy missions. Kakashi's sweat dropped. You know it's gonna be me who take all the trash, right? I guess it's revenge for me not helping with Tora. Iruka sighed. Naruto, you already know how the ninja rank goes. You're only newly graduated genin. Until you have trained some more, you can't go on higher ranking missions than D rank. But I'm not the same kid who used to paint over the Hokage monument. I can handle myself, Naruto retorted. The old Hokage looked at one of this year's most promising genin. There is some truth to that. He chuckled lightly while puffing on his pipe. Kakashi, what do you say? Do you think they are ready? Kakashi, who in the meantime had taken up his little orange book, looked over his genin team. They were all looking at him with begging eyes. He took a deep breath. I would say a C rank would suffice. They have been making slow but steady progress. Hiruzen nodded. Very well then. If you insist, I do have a C rank for you then. It's an escort and guard mission to Nami no Kuni. Ano, who are we supposed to escort then? Sakura asked. Instead of answering Sakura's question, Hiruzen called out towards the door to Tsunasan, can you please enter? The young teens crinkled their noses from the smell of alcohol as coming in through the door were wobbling a drunk middle-aged man. He had gray hair and a large beard of same color. He wore glasses with a dark pair of eyes behind them. It took him a few seconds to get his balance. When he finally did, he narrowed his eyes when he saw who the ninja team, that was supposed to protect him, was made up of. What the hell is this? You're giving me a couple of brats? I mean, the short one doesn't even seem to be 10. They can't have any skill, he slurred out. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He had matured a bit from his old self, but his short height was still a touchy subject. And then he criticized their skill. Naruto smirked, which caused Kakashi to worry. Before any of the people in the room could do anything, a big crystal shot out of the ground, impaling the bottle Tazuna was raising to his mouth, successfully pouring its content all over Tazuna's chest. He blinked a couple of times, very surprised. He wasn't the only one. All the ANBU guards in the room were mentally wide-eyed behind their mask. This was the first time they had seen the Shoten in action. They had of course all heard about it. It was big news when the village got a new Kekkei Genkai. But they didn't show any of this, thanks to their years in service. What was it you were saying, Aji-san? Naruto smiled. He didn't get any answer. Behind him Hiruzen coughed in his hand. Naruto, please don't kill our clients. Wouldn't be good for business, you know. Naruto looked over his shoulder, before shrugging. He snapped his fingers, and the crystal shattered in tiny microscopic pieces. Tazuna was breathless by the sight of the crystal shimmer in front of him, but composed himself. I am Tazuna and I'm an expert in bridge building. I will need you to escort me bang to Nami no Kuni and protect me while I finish it, the old man from Wave said. Kakashi turned towards his team. You heard the man. This is a C rank, so we will probably be away for a few weeks. Go home and pack all that you can need. We meet at the main gate tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Sakura, Sasuke and Naruto nodded. Good then. Team 7, I expect you back in a few weeks then. Dismissed. With Naruto. The blonde Uzumaki was walking down the main street alone. As soon as they had been dismissed from the mission delegation office, Sasuke had walked towards the Uchiha district with Sakura on his ass. He sighed. I still like Sakura-chan, but the way she acts sometimes I have to find a way to talk to her about it. Most of the time she doesn't act like a kunoichi. Maybe I can use Sasuke to make her act less fangirlish. He was making his way to Higurashi weapon shop to buy different ninja tools for the upcoming mission. He had thought he had it all at home, but no such luck. He couldn't wait till he was better at Fuinjutsu so he could make the exploding tags himself, but it was so damn hard to understand. He was only 1/4 of the way through the first beginner book. He had learned to make sealing scrolls, and he was good at it, but the rest it went slowly. It didn't really help with clones since it was him that had a hard time understanding it. But he was making progress, slow and steady. He was brought out of his thoughts when he almost bumped into someone on the street. He quickly got out of the stranger's way. He wasn't going to give the villagers any excuses to hate him more. Though, since he had graduated, they were concealing it more. He had made his way to the weapon shop. He was hoping to see Tenten in there. He hadn't seen her in 3 weeks. She had been given a mission, so she was away, and now he was going on one. If he didn't see her, it would probably be a few weeks more. He stepped inside, and was delighted to hear a familiar voice. Welcome to Higuri. Hey Naruto, Tenten said, making her way out from the counter to give him a quick hug. They may only have known each other for a few weeks, but Tenten had become his best friend, if not because she was his first. When she was done, she took a good look at him. It's good to see you again. Now, did you come to buy or just to say hey to little old me? She smiled at him. Naruto smiled back. Well, kind of both. You see, my team has gotten its first C-rank mission, so I need to restock all my ninja tools, like explosion tags, smoke and flash bombs, things like that. And then I hope to run into you before I was going away. She nodded, and began to take all the different articles from the shelves and put them on the counter. When she got to the kunai and shuriken, Naruto shook his head. I won't need those. Tenten frowned. I know you told me you like hand-to-hand combat and ninjutsu combat more, but you will need weapons. That wasn't what I meant. Naruto looked around the store, just to make sure they were alone. While most of the higher-ups ninja knew of his Shoten abilities, there weren't many others that did, and he planned to keep it that way for as long as he could. I can make them myself, he said, holding his hand up, conjuring a crystal shuriken. Tenten gasped. How did you do that? She motioned to take it, but quickly stopped herself and looked at him. Can I take a look at it? Naruto nodded. She took it from his hand, and looked closer at it. She was, to say the least, impressed. There was such detail, and she couldn't find any weakness in the way it was built, even though it should be fragile. In fact, it was the opposite, it was sturdy. When she was done, she made motion to return it to Naruto, but he shook his head. You keep it, I can make 1,000 others in no time. She smiled at him, bigger than before. She put it down in her pocket, making sure it was safe. She looked at him again. You still haven't answered my question. How did you do that? Naruto's face turned serious. You can't tell this to anyone, okay? She nodded. She weren't going to betray one of her closest friends. I have Shoten Kekkei Genkai. I found out just after I graduated, and before you ask, yes, the Hokage knows, and so does all the higher-up shinobi. Tenten was stunned, but regained herself somewhat. So, how does it work? Well, I haven't really figured it all out yet, but it seems like I can crystallize anything with a mass, such as earth, water, wood and so on. But I can't crystallize energy, such as lightning, wind and chakra. The only exception is my own chakra. I'm guessing it's because I'm so tuned into it. If I had to guess, I would think that if I spent enough time on, let's say, a lightning bolt, I would be able to crystallize it. But because it only lasts for a few seconds at most, I wouldn't be able to do it. And all lightning bolts have a different energy signature, so it wouldn't help to try it out on 1,000 different. Tenten nodded, satisfied with the explanation. She was happy he was willing to share like that to her. She could see it was one of his big secrets. He still wouldn't tell her why all the villagers seemed to hate him so much, but she guessed it was just a matter of time. She walked over the cash register and typed all the items Naruto was planning to buy. Okay, that will be 865 yen. Naruto took the money out of his wallet. Gamachan, and put it on the counter before putting all the items in various pockets in his outfit. Tenten was still amused by his little frog wallet, and the fact that he had named it. Tenten, do you want to go grab something to eat? I probably won't be back for a few weeks, Naruto asked. Tenten looked thoughtful for 1 second. I just got to ask Dad if he can watch the counter. She ran out back for 20 seconds and came back with a smile. It won't be a problem. Now, where do you want to go? She asked, already knowing the answer. Naruto smirked at her. Do you really have to ask? Ichiraku Ramen, of course. 30 minutes later at Ichiraku Ramen. Naruto and Tenten walked into the small stand. Hey Tsuchiya-san, I am Nizan. Tsuchi and I am, who were standing and making noodles, turned around to face where the voice had come from. I am were the first to speak. Naruto-kun and Tenten-san. Let me guess? The usual? She asked with a smile. Both nodded. You bet, Ne-san. The old ramen stand owner chuckled deeply. Coming right up, both of them turned to continue making the noodles and soup. While they were waiting for the ramen, Naruto turned towards. By the way, you never told what your mission was about. I got told you were on one from Kaido. Yeah, sorry about that. I tried to find you, but obviously couldn't, and we had to go fast. My sensei is rather eccentric, and he makes everything into a competition, she said, dropping her head at the end. Guy was a good sensei and all, but she could use a holiday from all the craziness. No worries. Now, what was your mission about? There had been some bandit raids on some small villagers down by the border to Kawa no Kuni, so the villagers had hired us to track them down and take care of them. Tenten told Naruto about the mission, how they had gone from village to village to get information, and to how they tracked down and took care of the bandit groups in the area. In the meantime, they had gotten their ramen, and Naruto was on his third. Sounds like you had your work cut out for you, huh? Naruto asked, inhaling some more noodles. Tenten looked at her friend with a smile. She had tried more than once to get Naruto to eat with some manners. She had had some success with Dango, but with noodles, according to Naruto, it was Kami's gift to mankind, and he couldn't get enough of it. Yeah, but I have a good team. I trust them, no matter how weird they can be. Naruto sighed. I wish I had a team like that. Is it still about Sasuke? Yeah. He just doesn't want to work or train together. He says that I would drag him down. He made quotation marks in the air to what Sasuke had said. I just can't win with that guy. I'm probably one of the people in the village who understand him the most. I never knew my parents. Of course I can't put myself in his place. To have all that love just for it to get taken away. He trailed off. Tenten could see he didn't like to talk about that, so she tried to get the conversation to move on. Then what about that girl? Sakura was her name? Yeah, Sakura. Well, she is nicer to me than she was at the academy, but she doesn't really act like a kunoichi. She is all about diets, her hair, what clothes she wear, and if Sasuke likes it. I like her, but I wish I could talk some sense into her. Ouch. I had a couple of fangirls on my class too. They haven't really made it far, so it would be good if you could talk to her. He nodded at that. She took another mouthful of ramen. Now I've told you about my mission, why don't you tell me about yours? It was your first C rank, right? Naruto brightened up when she asked. She loved her blonde friend's antics. Yes, it's our first C rank. We're supposed to escort some old drunk named Tazuna to Nami no Kuni, and then guard him while he finishes some bridge there. Tenten shook her head at her friend's bluntness at describing people. He hadn't really learned what should be thought and not said. Well, good luck then. It's a C rank, so you shouldn't get into something you can't handle. Especially with your little gift, she said, referring to his crystal powers. Naruto nodded thanks. They were silent for a bit while eating their food. Naruto broke the silence. Do you have any chakra weights at your shop? I read that they can help you with your speed and strength. I was really planning to wait till I could make restriction seals, but it's going slower than I had anticipated. So for now, I will have to go with weights. I tried to look for them while you were gone, but couldn't find any, and I never got to ask Kaido. Tenten finished what ramen she had in her mouth. You wouldn't be able to find them. There aren't many that buy them, so we will have to order them. I can do it later back at the shop. They should be here when you're back from your mission. Thanks, Naruto said, taking another inhaling of ramen, now on his 5th bowl. So it's here where you were hiding? And with a girl nonetheless. I'm so proud. I hope I didn't interrupt anything. A voice came from behind them. Both of the genin spun around on their chair to be faced with a big white-haired man. Ero Sennin. It's nothing like that. Kami, you're such a pervert. Naruto said a little high. Damn it, Gaki, how many times have I told you not to call me that? And it's super pervert, thank you. Jiraiya responded, puffing a bit. Tenten watched as the two kept bickering. She knew she had seen the old man somewhere before. Then it hit her, it was Jiraiya. Tsunade's, her idol, old teammate. Naruto. You really shouldn't call someone like Jiraiya that. Sorry Jiraiya-sama, she said while bowing. Naruto scoffed. You wouldn't say that if you knew him. And you heard what he said. He is a super pervert. Tenten looked from Naruto to Jiraiya. Well, he did say that. But someone with that much skill and such a high rank can't be a pervert. Can he? Now Naruto. Don't get into a fight with your girlfriend, Jiraiya said with a smirk, causing both of the genin to blush. Naruto was the first to speak. Damn it, Ero-sennin. I told you it isn't like that. He paused for a few seconds. Now that I think about it, why are you here? I thought you were out of the village? Jiraiya smiled at his part-time student. I was, but I'm back to report to sensei, and he told me that you're going on your first C rank? You bet I am, was Naruto's answer. Okay, in that case I got a new exercise for you, the white-haired man said, taking off his backpack and looked through it. Now Naruto was excited. As much as a pervert the old sage was, he was a good teacher and always had new thing Naruto could do. He got more and more excited the longer it took Jiraiya to find whatever it was he was looking for. His excitement plummeted when Jiraiya took up what looked like a water balloon and gave it to Naruto. Naruto looked curious, and a little disappointed, at Jiraiya. Jiraiya sighed. It's the first step to a jutsu. And before you ask, no, I won't show you before you have at least mastered the second stage. There are 3 stages. Are you sure you won't show me the jutsu? Jiraiya shook his head. Naruto sighed. Fine, but what am I supposed to do? This Jiraiya took out another balloon. First nothing happened, but then small lumps began to appear on the surface, before it burst. Naruto and Tenten looked curiously at his hand, where the balloon had been before. You have to burst it open by using your chakra alone. Just rotate the water inside it. Jiraiya took out a scroll. Here I have sealed a lot of balloons inside it. It won't be easy, but if you manage to finish it before I get back, I'll give the second stage to Kakashi. For the third stage, you will have to wait for me. Naruto took the scroll and put it down his pocket. Thank you, Ero-sen. And Jiraiya nodded at him, before waving and walked away. Naruto turned back to his ramen, just to see Tenten look accusingly at him. What? What? You're learning from Jiraiya-sama, one of the Densetsu no Sannin, and you don't tell me? I didn't think it was that important. Besides, he doesn't really train me. Kakashi-sensei is my sensei, though he doesn't train me much either. Tenten sighed. Just promise me, if you ever get to meet Tsunade-sama, and you get the chance, please introduce me to her. Will do, Naruto said, smiling. He knew that Tsunade was Tenten's idol, and that she held her in very high regard. He finished his bowl. Oh well, I'm full now. How about you? Tenten looked at him with an amused look. I have been done for 20 minutes. Naruto chuckled at that. Well, thank you for staying then. No problem. What are friends for, right? Right, and with that they paid for their meal, said their goodbyes, and walked each their way. Next morning at Konoha main gate, 11 a.m. Ga, where are your sensei? He should have been here 3 hours ago. Tazuna said, rather irritated. I knew you weren't worth anything. Sakura and Sasuke shot him a glare. Naruto just kept reading his book. He may have lost it a bit when he first met the old drunk, but he weren't gonna let that happen again. He was aiming to be a top-notch shinobi of Konoha. Naruto looked up from his book. Well, it's almost 11 now, so he should be here any minute. He is always at least 3 hours late. And as if called upon, a puff of smoke appeared in the middle of the road, with Kakashi in the middle of it. You're late, Sakura screeched, making everyone else wince at the volume of her voice. Sorry. You see, a cat crossed my path, so I had to take another way, and then I saw an old lady trying to get across the street, and I just had to stop to help her over. All the persons present just gave him a look that said, you don't really think you're fooling anyone, do you? Anyway, it seems like we're all here, so let's get going. Remember all the stuff you have packed. Sasuke scoffed, but picked up his backpack. He took a look at Naruto. He couldn't see any backpack. Dobe, aren't you forgetting something? Naruto was putting his book down in his pocket. No, what should that be? It was Sakura who answered, what about the things you should have packed? Naruto shrugged and held up 2 scrolls. It's in here. Way easier than carrying around a heavy backpack. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. He had seen that Naruto was reading Fuinjutsu books, but he didn't think he was this far in it. He stopped Sakura and Sasuke from digging more into it. Okay, it seems you all have your stuff, so let's get going. With that, Tazuna and Team 7 walked out the gate, making their way to Nami no Kuni. Team 7 was walking down a road in the middle of the forest surrounding Konoha. They had only left said village a few hours ago, and had some days of journey ahead of them. Tazuna was walking in the middle of the group, with Kakashi walking behind the rest, pretending to read his little orange book while giggling perversely, to complete the illusion. He didn't think much was going to happen on this mission, maybe a few thugs, 1 or 2 bandits, but nothing his team couldn't handle. But he knew he had to keep an eye out. He was responsible for the safety of his team, and he wouldn't let anything happen to them, even if it meant giving his own life in the process. In the front, Sasuke was walking, with Sakura trying to get his attention by trying to start a conversation, but she wasn't very successful. All she got in return was scoffs, and if she were lucky, a couple of HN from didn't matter that much to her. She just kept telling Sasuke of her life, all the things she wanted for the future, and so on. Naruto was walking on the right side of Tazuna, while enjoying the day. He was working on the water balloon that Jiraiya gave him, but he hadn't had much luck. So far it would only bent one way, nothing what Jiraiya's balloon had looked like. But he kept trying. He looked over at Sakura and Sasuke now. She even let her fangirlish tendencies disrupt missions. She is supposed to walk on Tsunaga-san's left side to guard him. I guess it doesn't matter much right now, this is only a C rank, but I really got to figure a way to get into her head that she got to start taking being a kunoichi serious. If not, she could be killed, or one of us could try to protect her. Eventually she ran out of things to talk to Sasuke about, and turned towards Tazuna. Tazuna-san, can I ask you about something? Tazuna looked at the little pink-haired girl. What is it? You're from Nami no Kuni, right? She asked curiously. What about it? He asked, just a little irritated. Tazuna was an old man, and he wasn't known for his patience. I was just wondering why you didn't use ninja from your own country. Don't you have a village there? It was Kakashi who answered, no, there are no ninja in Nami no Kuni. Some countries are too small, too poor, or simply don't want or need a ninja village. For Nami it's the latter. It's remote and isn't influenced or influencing easily by other countries, so there is no need for a ninja village. If a small country, like Nami, needs help from shinobi, they get it from a village from another country, like Konoha. Tazuna nodded. You're quite right, and left it at that. After that they walked in silence, only interrupted by Sakura trying to get Sasuke to talk again from time to time. They continued like that for a few more hours. They were almost out of the forest, when Naruto noticed something. It was a little pool of water in the middle of the road. He frowned. That's odd. It hasn't rained for over 2 weeks. In fact, it has been quite the opposite. There hasn't been more than a few clouds on the heaven, and it's been baking hot. And yet, here in the middle of the road, in a month where the sun has been high in the sky, there is a water puddle. He thought for a few seconds, trying to figure out how it could be. Could it be? He looked back at Kakashi, who subtly nodded without taking his eyes off his book. They continued forward. They passed the puddle without either of Sakura or Sasuke noticing the oddity. When they had passed it by a few meters, it quietly morphed into 2 persons. Kakashi and Naruto had noticed it, but didn't show. Quickly, one of the persons threw the other, retracting the kunai chain that was connecting the 2 through gauntlets. They quickly wrapped Kakashi in it, before stopping on each side of him. The rest of the group turned around. Tazuna, Sasuke and Sakura looked shocked, while Naruto acted like it, but in reality he knew that Kakashi had a plan. Naruto took a closer look at the 2 now obvious shinobi, and saw their Hitaites Kirigakure. What are Kirinin doing here? The 2 Kirinin retracted the kunai chain, slicing what appeared to be Kakashi in half. First one down, the one on the left said. They quickly disappeared in a blur of speed, only to reappear behind Naruto. Second one, their chain began to extend out, trying to wrap itself around Naruto. He wouldn't have any of that. He stomped in the ground, making a small wall of crystal appear between him and the Kirinins. They were stunned, and before they could react, a shuriken followed by a kunai impaled their chain on a tree behind them. Sasuke was up in the air going through some hand signs. He took a deep breath, before spewing out a large fireball katon. Gokakyu no Jutsu. The Kirinin tried to pull the chain out of the tree, but quickly realized that they couldn't. They snapped the chain from their gauntlet, and dodged by jumped each their way, but they weren't finished yet. One of them charged towards Sasuke, and the other towards Tazuna, both planning to strike their target down with their claw. Sakura quickly got in front of Tazuna with a kunai in her hand. I have to protect him. He is our charge. But how? How can I do this? She trembled lightly. Stay back, Tazuna-san. Naruto saw this. He wasn't concerned about Sasuke. As much as an ass he was, he could take care of himself. But it was another story with Sakura. This was exactly what he had feared might happen. He saw the Kirinin get closer and closer to the pink-haired kunoichi, and knew he had to do something fast. Quickly he went through hand signs and slapped his hand down on the ground. Shoten, Suisho no Hashira. Before the shinobi from Kiri could react, he was shot 7 meters into the air by a crystal pillar that had appeared under him. He narrowed his eyes when he looked down and saw the blonde ninja holding his hand palm on the ground. Naruto smirked. Your battle is with me. Naruto quickly glanced over at Sasuke before his own battle started. He was doing okay as far as he could see. He were dodging most attacks, and quickly japing to counter. He looked back at his own opponent who was jumping down from the pillar. He looked at Sakura. His eyes were full of fear. He nodded at her with a smile. It seemed to help a little, as she tried to smile and nodded back at him. Naruto jumped back to dodge the claw that was slashing at him from above. The Kirin was glaring at him. Naruto just smirked. Now, you can't expect me to nicely stay in one place. That would just be too easy now, wouldn't it? He only got a growl in response. The Kirin began slashing at Naruto, who dodged it each and every time. Naruto jumped back after 30 seconds of that and laughed a bit. You will have to do better than that. Sasuke heard Naruto laugh, and looked over to see how easily he was handling his opponent. It angered him. Trying to show me up, are you dope? Not going to work. I'm gonna get my opponent down in no time, he thought as he ducked under yet another strike, only to counter with a kick in the stomach, which pushed his opponent back a meter or two. He charged his opponent and unleashed a flurry of punches and kick from his Uchiha style. This caused him to be left open, not going unnoticed by the Kirin. He slashed towards Sasuke's not open ribs. Sasuke saw it, but couldn't block it. He wasn't fast enough. Just before it hit, a couple of crystals shot up from the ground, blocking the attack. Team! Get your game together. I can't fight both our fights. Naruto yelled, jumping over a strike and kicking his opponent in the face. Sasuke scoffed. In Naruto's fight, he was the clear superior. The longer they fought, the more of an advantage he had. The Kirin kept slashing at him, exhausting himself like that. Sasuke's were another story. They were close to equals, and it didn't help that Sasuke didn't keep his head cool. He tried to prove himself because of how good Naruto was doing, resulting in him getting bruises here and there, but no cuts so far. Naruto winced when his opponent finally got him. He had a scratch across the back of his hand. Naruto decided that he had had enough of it. Sasuke, throw yours over here. Sasuke looked annoyed by the fact that his blonde teammate was giving him orders, but complied. The next time his opponent slashed at him, he grabbed his arms and threw him over at Naruto's opponent. They knocked each other to the ground, and Naruto went through a seal's Kesho Purism. 3 glass-thin red crystals grew out of the ground, encasing the Kirin in a prism. But Naruto didn't stop there. He went through another set of seals, before slamming his hand on the red crystal Shoten. Beninga Kosoku from the sides of the crystal prism, chains shot out, wrapping around the two enemy shinobi. When it was done, Naruto lowered the prism, only leaving the two Kirin sitting on the ground. Before they could react, Naruto knocked them both out by slamming them on the neck. That's when Kakashi came out of the tree line clapping. Very good, I'm impressed, he said with a nice smile. Sakura and Sasuke watched him with wide eyes, before glancing over where they thought they had seen him getting sliced in half. There were only wood pieces left there, a clear evidence of a kawarimi. Naruto just watched passively. He didn't think there was a way for Kakashi to get taken down by two ninja of that caliber. Tazuna scoffed. Why didn't you help your students? They could have died. I knew I should have asked for some better shinobi, he said, not sounding a little bit irritated. Kakashi looked back at him without emotion. I was standing in the tree line all the time, ready to jump in at any moment if the need should arise. He paused, walking over to the Kirin, checking the chains. He took them up, and began walking over to a thick tree, taking out his own chains. Now, isn't there something you would like to tell us? Those two are the demon brothers of Kiri, Goza and Meizu. They are two C-rank missing nin. While they could have been after one of us, but that is highly unlikely. For one reason, these three, Kakashi gestured towards his team, is newly graduated ninja. They haven't made their name yet. It's true they could have been after me, but I don't have anything standing with Kiri. Another reason is that we just got assigned to this mission. Not even the Hokage knew we were going to get it, before we did. So that only leaves you, Kakashi continued while tying up the demon brothers. Tazuna gulped. Kakashi ignored it for now and turned towards Naruto. You can dispel your chains now. Naruto nodded and snapped his fingers, making his chains shatter. While Naruto didn't need to snap, he loved how it looked. But to give him some credit, he was still a 12-year-old, ninja or not. Kakashi saw the cut at Naruto's hand. Naruto, their blades are poisoned, don't move too much, or the poison will spread. Kakashi turned towards Tazuna. I'll ask you more directly. Are there any reasons for two missing nin to be after you? Because we haven't heard anything about you being targeted by missing nins. Your request was to protect you from armed groups like thugs or robbers. This is a mission that's above C rank, possibly B rank, borderline A rank. Our mission was to support and guard you until you completed the bridge. If ninja are our enemy, this mission would have been an expensive B or A rank. It looks like you have your reasons, but it only troubles us if you lie in your request details. This he gestured to the demon brothers wasn't a part of the mission. That's when Sakura spoke up. This mission is out of our league. We may have been able to defeat these, but they couldn't have been more than high Genin to low Chunin level skill-wise. If whoever is after you sends stronger shinobi, we will be in trouble. Let's quit. We also need anesthesia to take out the poisoned blood out of Naruto. We need to go back to the village and see a doctor. In the weeks since they had graduated, Naruto had grown at her. While she still found him annoying from time to time, and she didn't like the way he acted towards Sasuke, she had started to respect him for his skills. Something she never thought she would in the academy. No, that's not needed. The group looked at Naruto. Naruto looked at Sakura. Can I borrow a kunai, please? She was weary, not knowing what he was going to do, but lent him one. As soon as he had it in his hand, he quickly stabbed the back of his hand, forcing a lot of blood out. Sakura gasped. What are you doing, Baka? Naruto shrugged. The mission is still on. Naruto, it's nice that you took out the poison blood and all, but you're going to die from loss of blood if any more comes out, Kakashi said with a carefree voice. Naruto just laughed at the comment as if that could happen. He knew of the Kyuubi's regenerative abilities that he had gotten. He dried off the blood from the kunai, and handed it to Sakura. Thanks for lending it to me. He then went on to drying off his hand in the grass, before continuing walking down the path. Kakashi soon followed, with the rest of the group close behind. He watched the hand, and could see it was already healing, so that's what he meant. It must be the Kyuubi's power. He knows more about it than I would have thought. Fortress, unknown location. Failed. I spent a lot of money to hire all of you because I heard you all were skilled ninja. A short man in a business suit said, looking at a larger man, who was sitting in a throne-like chair. Stop complaining. The man in the chair sneered, swinging a big butcher-like knife at the shorter man, just to stop inches from his throat. I'll use this decapitating knife and kill those guys. The shorter man didn't seem to believe he could do it, and starting talking in a mocking tone. Do you really think you will be okay? It looks like the enemy has hired good shinobi, and since the demon brothers failed in the assassination, they'll be more cautious, so it won't be easy. Who do you think I am? The sword-wielding person said, not liking the tone the shorter man was speaking to him in. I, Momochi Zabuza, was called the demon of Kirigakure. The shorter man looked at him. Fine, do what you want. But I expect him to be dead, and soon, he said, walking away. Team 7 campsite. Later that night, Naruto was sitting on a hill at the edge of the camp. Kakashi had taken the first watch, and he was taking the second. He was sitting reading the book on Fuinjutsu. He almost understood the concept behind the explosion tags. But he knew he couldn't make them yet. He made a note to himself to have his clones work on his handwriting. He wasn't ashamed to say that it sucked. He hadn't really needed it, until now. He heard steps behind and looked over his shoulder. To see Sakura walking towards him, he turned to his book again. Can't sleep? No, her voice sounded behind him. Hey. Aren't you supposed to keep watch? She asked a little accusingly. Naruto didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to places at the edge of the camp. She looked to see a couple of Kaiga Bunshin. Oh, sorry. No problem. He flipped a page. Why can't you sleep? She hesitated. She didn't really know if she wanted to share this with Naruto. She sighed, and sat down a meter beside him. I keep thinking about the battle. And then now, how tired Sasuke is because of it I don't know. This time it was Naruto's turn to hesitate. This was the moment he had waited for, the moment he could try to get her to act more like a kunoichi instead of a fangirl. I have some advice, but I don't know how much you're going to like it. She just looked at him, as he continued. You need to get it together. We're shinobi now, we aren't just students. If it had been only you today, Tazuna and you would have been killed. Sakura frowned. She didn't like it, but he was true. What would you have me do then? Stop being a fangirl, was the response. I'm not a fangirl. Naruto looked up from his book and gave her a look that said, are you kidding me? She sighed. Okay, maybe just a little bit. Naruto shook his head with an amused grin on his lips, tried to take being a kunoichi more serious. Don't go on diet, you need the energy the food gives you. If you train without it, you will just become skinny. And not the good skinny you want, I mean bad unhealthy skinny. I don't think Sasuke would like that very much. She blushed like she had just found out her secret crush, and then start training. Stop caring so much about your clothes, hair and so on. Start focusing on training more. He paused, and for the record, it may even help your chances with Sasuke. It hurt a bit to say that to the girl he had a crush on. Sasuke is attracted to power. So if you become a powerful kunoichi, you may even get him. Sakura nodded. She didn't like everything that was said. She needed to think about it. She rose and started walking back to her tent, but stopped and turned halfway around. Thank you, Naruto. Naruto just lifted his hand and half waved without looking up from his book, as to say no problem. She walked to her tent, and tried to get some sleep before her watch was coming up. However, her thoughts lingered some, especially on the new attitude of their blonde teammate. He changed so much since the academy, and ever since learning he has a Kekai Genkai, he has been more responsible. He still acts only a little goofy, but he does not even ask me out on dates anymore. For whatever reason, she felt a ping in her heart from that. He still calls her Sakura-chan, but overall he has acted much more appropriate to her. Yet something still mewed at her. I really like this Naruto but kind of miss the old one. Early next morning, Team 7 and Tazuna were sailed in a little boat in the thick morning mist. They were sailing from the mainland to the largest island of Nami no Kuni. The boat didn't even have a motor. It was propelled forward by a guy who was slowly paddling, trying to make as little noise as possible. The mist is so thick. I can't see anything in it, Sakura stated. No one answered her right away, but Tazuna broke the silence. We should be able to see the bridge soon. If we sail alongside the bridge, we should be in Nami no Kuni soon, the paddling guy said. And as if on command, the bridge appeared out of the mist. The genin were stunned. It was huge. They had never seen anything like it. Wow, that's unbelievable, Naruto said a little highly, while the other genin nodded in agreement. The paddling guy didn't like it. Hey, be quiet. We're using this boat and hiding in the mist. That's why I'm rowing instead of using an engine. In other words, if we get caught, we'll be in serious trouble. Sorry, Naruto said lowly. Kakashi was looking at the old bridge builder. Tazuna-san, before the boat gets to the pier, there's something I need to ask you. Tazuna looked like he knew what was coming. Who are the people who are after you, and why are they after you? That or we call the mission when you get ashore, and return to Konoha. All the eyes of the Konoha shinobi were on Tazuna. It looked like I have to tell you the real story. I mean, I would like for you to hear my story. As you said, he nodded towards Sakura. This mission is most likely out of your job description and capabilities. He paused. No one was commenting, just looking at him intensely. An extremely terrible man is after my life. Who is it? Sakura asked. You should have all at least heard of the name marine transportation billionaire Gato. That surprised Kakashi. Gato? The one from the Gato company? He's one of the richest men on the elemental continent. Tazuna nodded. Yeah, he is the president of the Gato company on the outside. But underground he uses gangs and ninjas to smuggle drugs and contraband goods. He also does nasty jobs like takeovers of other companies and small countries. And 1 year ago, he set his sight on Nami no Kuni. He entered this country using violence and wealth as his shield, and he quickly took over the island's sea traffic and transportation. Of course, Naruto said, bringing all eyes on him. Of course, what dope? Sasuke asked, irritated that Naruto apparently figured something out before him. If you wanted to take over a country like Nami, what would be the first thing you were going to do? Neither Sakura nor Sasuke answered him. Take over the shipping industry. If you control that, you control everything in a country like this. They use the shipping industry to get things from the mainland, to transport stuff between the islands and so on. In a country like Nami, controlling the sea means ruling over the wealth, politics, and the people. By taking over the shipping industry, you effectively control close to everything in a country like this. Sakura was wide-eyed. He actually paid attention. I thought he slept through the studies? You're quite right, Tazuna nodded in agreement, and the one thing Gato fears is the completion of my bridge, which has been under construction for quite some time. Sakura seemed to be thinking. I see. So you, as the one building the bridge, became an obstacle to him. Then those ninjas were sent by Gato, Sasuke concluded. Kakashi turned back to look at Tazuna. But what I don't understand is this. He's a dangerous man that uses shinobi. Why did you hide that fact when you came to us? It wasn't him that answered, but Naruto, isn't it obvious, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi looked questioning at Naruto. Gato has taken over the economy of this place, so the people here can't have much money to begin with. And then add the fact that they are building the bridge, they have even less. I'm guessing they didn't have enough money to pay for a higher ranking mission. But if you asked me, Sandaime Jiji would probably have made a deal with you guys, though you wouldn't know that. You're right again. Nami no Kuni is a really poor country. Even the feudal lord doesn't have much money. We don't have the money to request for an expensive B rank or above mission. If you quit your mission after I land, I'll be killed for sure while I go home. He paused. But there's no need for you to blame yourselves. Only my cute 8-year-old grandson will cry and cry and cry some more. Naruto got a feeling he knew where this was going, and my daughter will hold a grudge against Konoha and its shinobi and live a lonely life. He paused again, looking around at the sweat-dropped faces of the Konoha nin. But it's not your fault. Kakashi seemed to be thinking for a second. I guess it can't be helped then. We will continue to escort you. That's good to hear. It hadn't been much longer after that conversation before they had seen shore. Now they were walking down one of the many paths in Nami no Kuni to Tazuna's home. Team 7 was on guard. Now that they knew what they were up, knew that Gato probably would send stronger shinobi next time. They were walking cautiously down one of the many roads in Wave. They were surrounding Tazuna, Kakashi taking the rear, Naruto taking the front, and Sasuke and Sakura taking the flanks. Suddenly Naruto conjured a couple of shuriken, and threw them into some bushes. The rest of the team stopped in their tracks, holding their kunai in defensive positions. They kept their guard up. Then Naruto blinked a few times. Sorry, I thought I heard something over there. You're such a dope, Sasuke said, putting his kunai down his kunai holder again. Kakashi nodded at Naruto before heading over to the moved it away, finding a dead white-furred bunny. Kakashi frowned. That's a snow rabbit. But what's with the color of its fur? They only have white fur during winter, when the days are short. He looked around the tree line, trying to spot anyone close by. That means it is a rabbit that was raised inside a place where the sun isn't a factor, highly likely for the Kawarimi no Jutsu. He kept looking around, not going unnoticed by Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke had been shown up by Naruto more than he liked in the past few days. They readied themselves. Kakashi spotted a sliver of silver in the corner of his eye. Everyone, get down! A big butcher-like sword were flying through the air, heading towards where Tazuna was standing. Naruto took action first, grabbing Tazuna's sleeve, and ducked, forcing the old man with him. Sasuke wasn't far behind, grabbing Sakura's wrist. The sword flew over their heads by mere centimeters, before hitting and embedding itself in a tree behind them. A man appeared on the handle of the sword. Sharingan no Kakashi. I see. Shinobi on the level of the demon brothers couldn't have handled you. The man looked over the Konohinin. Kakashi stepped forward. That may very well be, but it wasn't me who took them down. It was my team. Kakashi looked the man over. Sasuke meanwhile reacted on the Sharingan part. Kakashi-sensei has the Sharingan? But I thought only members of my clan had it. He frowned, then smiled a bit. As much as Sasuke can smile anyway, I guess I can learn a thing or two from him after all. Momochi Zabuza, also known as the Demon of the Hidden Mist. Current status: missing Nin. Forced into hiding after an unsuccessful coup d'etat against the Yandame Mizukage. Kakashi looked back at his team. Team, stay back. You'll only get in the way. Sasuke scoffed at that. Why? We took the demon brothers down pretty easy. Now it was Naruto's turn to scoff. Sasuke turned towards him. Do you have something to say? Yeah, the demon brothers must have hit your head pretty hard. The demon brothers were high genin to low chunin level. Momochi Zabuza, on the other hand, is at low to mid ANBU level. We wouldn't stand a chance. The only one on our team who has a chance is Kakashi-sensei, and the best teamwork we can offer him right now is stay out of his way. Naruto was so glad he had talked the old Hokage into giving him one of the bingo books. He had memorized it, so he would know when to fight and when to run. Sasuke just scoffed. Kakashi nodded approvingly back at Naruto. Now, we can do this in one of two ways. 1. You simply hand over the old man, and I let you go without a scratch. Zabuza's voice sounded. Then he smirked, jumping down from his spot on the sword, taking it with him. Down. Or 2, you refuse, and I kill you all before you can count to 5. He finished, getting into his battle stance. Kakashi looked seriously at Zabuza. If he is our enemy, Kakashi moved his hand up towards his Hitayate, pulling it up slightly. I can't afford to hold back. He pushed the Hitayate the rest of the way up, exposing his left eye, the Sharingan. He turned his face slightly, to see his team out of the corner of his eye. Everyone, from the swastika formation. Protect Tazuna-san. The 3 genin were fast, taking the position, Tazuna in the middle, with the 3 genin standing around, Sakura and Sasuke having regular kunai up in front of them, and Naruto having a crystal version. Oh, I'm honored. I get to see the famous Sharingan right off the bat. This will be interesting, he continued while a thick mist was forming. But let's cut the chit-chat now. He vanished in a blur of speed, before reappearing on top of a lake. The 3 genin were surprised and impressed by the speed, but it quickly turned into fear. They realized they didn't have chance, whatsoever, against him. Zabuza stood with half the ram's sign in front of his chest, while his other arm was pointing up. The water under him started to make small waves, while water particles swirled around him. He's putting a lot of chakra into the water, Kakashi noticed. He brought up his kunai, ready to charge. He didn't make it before Zabuza casted his jutsu. Kirigakyu no Jutsu. The mist peaked. Team 7 couldn't see 3 feet in front of them. The genin couldn't see Kakashi anymore, and tightened up their stance. 8 points it sounded from everywhere and nowhere. The larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular vein, collarbone, kidney, and the heart. 8 points. I need to strike once, and you're dead. The genin shuddered now, How do you wish to die? Kakashi, also hearing this, summoned a bunch of chakra, making a small shockwave, effectively pushing away the mist just around him and his team. Sasuke was frozen in fear. What an intense thirst for blood. One breathing motion, or one eye movement will be detected, and it'll get me killed. What an atmosphere. If I stay here much longer, I'll go insane. Sasuke started trembling now. Sasuke, Kakashi's voice sounded. Don't worry. I'll protect the three of you with my life. I won't let anyone on my team die, he said with an eye smile. I wonder about that. Kakashi Zabuza's voice sounded again, right before he appeared in between the three genin. Kakashi reacted fast, charging at Zabuza, pushing him back. Zabuza was wide-eyed. The fight begins now, Kakashi said, slashing at Zabuza with impressive speed. The missing Nin simply jumped back, dodging the slash. Before he had landed, Kakashi brought up 3 more kunai, casting them towards Zabuza. He dodged one, but the others hit their marks, on dead center in the forehead, and 2 in the chest. Zabuza was standing still, before beginning to leak water. That's when another figure appeared behind with a slashing motion. Sensei, watch out! Behind you! Sakura yelled, but too late. Kakashi was cut in half. The time seemed to slow down for the genin, before what they had thought to be Kakashi to burst into water. Zabuza looked wide-eyed. He copied my jutsu. I didn't even see him make the hand signs. Kakashi appeared behind Zabuza, holding up a kunai close to his throat. Zabuza sliced his sword towards Kakashi, who quickly blocked with his kunai. He hadn't expected the force though, and was forced out on the lake. Zabuza was close behind, standing a couple of meters away facing his opponent. I must say, you live up to your nickname, Copy Ninja Kakashi. I am impressed, and I'm not easily impressed, Zabuza voiced. But now we're in my element, he started making hand signs. Kakashi did the same signs at the exact same moment. When they were through with the signs, both of them yelled Suiton, Suryudan no Jutsu. 2 great dragons shaped out of water morphed out of the waters, heading for the other. They collided with great force that caused a shockwave. The 2 jounin guarded themselves. Zabuza looked in shock at his opponent. How did he do that? He didn't simply copy my jutsu, he used it the exact same time. Could he be reading my mind? It came from Kakashi. Zabuza looked even more shocked than more, but quickly reined it in. I don't know what you did, but it ends here. Zabuza charged again, closing in, forcing the 2 shinobi to use taijutsu. Zabuza sliced at his opponent, but Kakashi blocked with his kunai. Zabuza frowned, putting more force into it. He won the struggle, forcing Kakashi underwater. Kakashi quickly swam to the surface again. What the matter with this water? It's so heavy, he thought while climbing up on the surface again. Zabuza grinned at that. I'm afraid you've fallen into my trap, Kakashi. He appeared behind the half-submerged Kakashi, and went through some hand signs against Suiro no Jutsu. Kakashi looked back at Zabuza, who were standing with a hand extended towards him. Shit! The water quickly formed a sphere around him and Zabuza's hand. I thought I could use the water as cover, but it turned out to be a mistake on my part, Kakashi thought, while trying to think of a way to get out of the water prison. Zabuza laughed. I told you this was my element. You give me a hard time when you're moving, but now that won't be a problem. He looked over at Tazuna and Team 7. Now then, Kakashi, I'm going to finish you off later. First, I'm going to get rid of them. He made a hand sign. Nizu Bunshin no Jutsu. A water clone appeared. Back at Tazuna, Team 7 was staring wide-eyed in fear. Kakashi had been captured. They were all trying to figure a way out of this mess. They knew they couldn't handle an ANBU level ninja. Their only chance was to find a way to release Kakashi from the water prison. Naruto leaned towards Sasuke, tried to distract him. I have a plan that may work. Sasuke stared back at his teammate for a moment, before nodding. Sasuke faced the water clone again. He began casting a barrage of kunai and shuriken, but to no avail. The clone simply dodged and blocked them. Sasuke summoned a Fuma shuriken, casting it, hoping it would buy him just a bit of time, and then went through the hand signs for his clan's Katan Jutsu. He took a deep breath and breathed out a large fireball Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The clone was surprised that a genin could use such an advanced jutsu, but again dodged it with ease. Sasuke was starting to pant slightly. The jutsu had taken a good portion of his chakra, and he hadn't recovered fully from the encounter with the Demon Brothers. Dobe, I hope you're done soon. I can't hold him off much longer. Naruto nodded. Hi, just give me a few more seconds, team. He needed a lot of chakra for this jutsu. While he had monster reserves, it wasn't easy to summon a huge amount at once. There he made hand seals Shoten, Kesho Gakakuro. The ground under the clone, and the water under Kakashi's water prison glowed brightly pink, before they were encased in crystal. Naruto concentrated and made the ram seal Funsai. The clone shattered into 1,000 pieces, and so did the prison, leaving Kakashi free, who jumped back to get clear of Zabuza's range. He was impressed with Naruto. He guessed it wasn't easy to crystallize some, but not all, of something like his water prison. Zabuza was shocked. He looked over at the blonde genin, who were looking intensely back at him. He turned to Kakashi and asked a simple question: how? Kakashi looked at Zabuza, and quickly glanced over at Shino, before making eye contact again the blonde genin on team. He passes Shoten. A look of surprise spread across Zabuza's face. Shoten. I haven't even heard about it before now. He looked at Naruto again. Kakashi then turned serious once again, but now, this really must end. Zabuza began making hand signs, Kakashi following. Just before Zabuza was done, Kakashi cried Suetun, Daibaku for no jutsu. Zabuza was wide-eyed this time. He didn't do it at the same time as me. He did it before me. Water began encircling around Kakashi, before shooting towards Zabuza. There was too much to be able to dodge. He was slammed away by the great mass of water. It slammed him through multiple trees, before pinning him to one. Before he could look around, 3 kunai flew towards him, impaling him in different spots. Kakashi jumped and stood on a branch of the tree, while the water resided. Zabuza was panting heavily now. The water had really roughed him up. He looked down on the ground. Can you see the future? He asked Kakashi. Said person looked down at him. Yeah. And I tell you what I can see. He brought up another kunai. You're going to die. He jumped down, and was just about to strike, when his senses told him to jump away. He did so, only to see 3 saban needles hitting Zabuza in the neck. His eyes rolled back in the head, and his body fell to the ground lifeless. Kakashi and Team 7 were stunned. They looked back to where the saban needles had come from. They saw a boy, not much older than themselves, standing. He has a mask over his face. It was true. He did die. Kakashi jumped over to where Zabuza's apparent body was, checking for any life signs. He didn't find any. He really is dead. He looked back at boy who had killed his opponent. The boy bowed slightly. Thank you very much. I was looking for a chance to kill Zabuza. That mask, if I remember correctly, you must be a hunter nin from Kirigakure, Kakashi said. The boy stood up straight again. You are well informed, Sharingan Kakashi. He paused for a moment before continuing. Yes, I am a member of the pursuing shinobi unit that hunts missing nin. Kakashi looked analyzing on the hunter nin. Judging from his height and voice, he must not be that older than Sasuke and the others. Yet he is a hunter nin. He looked over him again. He's no ordinary kid. The hunter nin shined over to Zabuza's corpse, taking its arm across his neck, effectively carrying it. Your battle ends here for now. I must go dispose of this corpse. It's a body filled with secrets. If you'll excuse me, he finished, then shined away. Kakashi, looking at where the hunter nin had been, pushed down his Hitaiite, covering his Sharingan again. He turned towards his team and Tazuna. Our mission hasn't ended yet. We need to escort Tazuna-san to his house. The genin nodded. Tazuna grinned. Sorry about that, everyone. Just rest at my house. The shinobi just sweat dropped at Tazuna's carefree attitude. No more than 2 minutes ago was he close to dying, and there he is standing grinning. Sasuke thought. He sighed deeply. Okay, let's go everyone, Kakashi said, stating to head down the road. He hadn't gone more than a few steps, when he collapsed. His team was beside him quickly with Sakura examining him. He looks okay. I can't be sure though. She turned towards Tazuna. How long is there to your house? Tazuna looked down on Kakashi. It's just up the road. Shouldn't be more than half an hour away by now. Sakura nodded at that. At Tazuna's home. Kakashi's visible eye fluttered open. He was looking up at a wooden ceiling. I used the Sharingan too much. At least we beat Zabuza. Sensei, you're awake? Kakashi rolled his head and looked over at his blonde genin. I'll tell the boss, Naruto said before puffing away in smoke. Kakashi raised his eyebrow. He was a shadow clone, so that's how he's done it. It didn't take long before he could hear footsteps out in the hallway along with Dobe. How can you know he's awake? You have been with us all along, from what sounded like Sasuke. Just trust me on this one, team, Naruto said. Naruto baka. Stop calling Sasuke things like that. It came from Sakura. Then the door slid open. See, I told you he was awake, the blonde genin said with a big smile. Sakura rolled her eyes and made her way over to where Kakashi was laying. It's good to see you're awake again. She paused while she sat down beside him. Sharingan really is amazing, but it puts a lot of strain on the body. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. No, Naruto said while making his way to the other side of the futon. It's because it isn't Kakashi-sensei's Sharingan. Only the members of the Uchiha clan can get it. I'm guessing you had it transplanted, and by what I saw, it was when you were quite young. The other looked at him like he was crazy. While they had slowly started to accept that Naruto actually knew stuff, it was still surprising that he could estimate when Kakashi had his eye transplanted, just by looking at it once. It had also caught Sasuke's attention, since it was his Kekai Genkai the subject was one. Naruto continued normally the Sharingan, or the Byakugan for that matter, doesn't take that much chakra or do so much strain on the body, but I'm guessing because it isn't a part of his body, it takes much more. People with Kekai Genkai are normally born with bodies adapted to it, as the Uchiha clan, who hasn't the biggest chakra reserves, but very precise chakra control. This is so they can control the flow in and out of their eyes more precisely, and better control their Sharingan. Kakashi nodded affirmative on what Naruto said. He is right. It does strain my body much more than it would on any Uchiha. By the way, how long have I been out? While Naruto had talked, Tazuna and Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, had made his way, and you shouldn't worry about your brats. They carried you here about 2 hours ago. Tazuna paused. And at least you beat that creepy Kiri shinobi. Or the masked kid did anyway. Sakura turned back to Kakashi. Ano-sensei, who are the Hunter Nins? Kakashi lay down and closed his eye to rest. To say the Sharingan had strained his body was a great understatement. Sakura was almost beginning to think that he wouldn't answer when he spoke up. The Hunter Nins are a special department from the villages A and BU. They are also known as the Fire Extinguishing Unit, and their job is to erase any evidence that a shinobi was alive. A shinobi's body will give away the secret of their jutsu, if said shinobi had a special chakra type, and any specific medicine that was used on the body, along with various other things. He paused and opened his eye to look around on the audience. For example, if I died, the secrets of the Sharingan would be examined, or if Naruto died, his Shoton would be studied, and possibly copied. He looked at Naruto when he said his name. Naruto got shivers up his spine. It's kinda creepy and disgusting that another village would examine my body from top to toe, just to find out about my Shoton. In other words, Kakashi continued, Hunter Nins will kill missing Nins who have abandoned their village, and dispose of the shinobi's body, to keep the village's secrets in the village. He looked over the people in the room. They were all nodding understandingly. That is, all except Naruto, who was frowning. What is it, Naruto? Sensei, isn't Saban needles an odd choice of weapon for a Hunter Nin? I mean, they are small and precise, but it's pretty hard to kill anyone, unless you hit exactly on some specific nerves. Now Kakashi was frowning too. Yes, that is odd. And then Naruto continued, there's also the fact that the boy took the body with him. If a Hunter Nin is supposed to erase all evidence of a shinobi, why would they take the body with them? Wouldn't it just be easier to do it where the body is? It could be because we were there, but it just seems like something is adding up. You're right. All he had to bring back as proof was Zabuza's head, Kakashi said. Sasuke, who had been silent until now, thought about everything they had been told. Nothing adds up. Why did the Hunter Nin use Saban needles, when it's so hard to kill with, and why did he take the body, if all he needed was to take the head and burn the rest to crisps? Sasuke kept thinking over what he had been told, trying to see underneath the underneath. That's when his eyes widened. No. It can't be. What? What are you people talking about? Tazuna asked, not a little bit irritated. Father! I'm sure they will get to it, Tsunami scolded. Kakashi looked lazily at the two civilians. Zabuza isn't dead. He is in fact very much alive. What? The two civilians and the pink-haired Kunoichi were all but stunned. What do you mean, sensei? You yourself confirmed that he was dead. As in not alive, Sakura screeched. Kakashi looked at Sakura. It's right, I did confirm it. Then how? How is he alive? She asked. Saban needles, Naruto said, with a look that said, why didn't I think of that before? All eyes were on him now. It's because he used Saban needles. As I said, you need to be very precise when you want to make a kill with them. You have to hit the right nerves to kill, but there's also nerves that put you into a stasis which makes you appear dead. You're literally put in a near-death state until someone pulls the needles out. Hunter Nin studies the structure of the human body to the extreme, many times more than the average medic. The Cyclops Jounin said that's needed to make the kill fast and precise, and to be able to dispose of all the parts. It would be easy for them to put a person into a near-death state. He breathed deeply. I think it's safe to assume that the Hunter Nin wasn't who he said he was. First, he took home the apparent corpse of Zabuza, even when it was obvious that the body was much heavier than him. Second, he used a weapon that has a low fatality rate. From these 2 points, it's clear that the goal of that boy wasn't to kill Zabuza, but to help him. Excuse me, Kakashi-san, but maybe you're overthinking this a bit? Tsunami said with a doubting look on her face. You're quite right. I am overthinking this. But that's a shinobi's job, to look underneath the underneath. The shinobi world is filled with lies and deceptions, so you need to think of every possible result, and expect the worst. It keeps you alive. It's one of things the academy students learns first. It's the iron rule of the shinobi. Sakura looked a little worried. Sensei, how are we supposed to prepare for this? It doesn't really look like you will be able to move for a while. And couldn't Zabuza drop in at any moment? Kakashi shook his head. No, he won't. To be in a near-death state like he won't be able to move completely for about a week. And by then I should be able to move too. Sakura nodded. Still, we still have to prepare, and how are we going to do that, when you're cooped up in here? How? Even if I can't move around too much, I can still train you. For the next week we're going to get you three prepared by training. I can probably take on Zabuza again, but you will need to keep his little friend off my hands. He can't be much older than you, but he is already that talented. We can't underestimate him. Wait. You can't expect us to take on another shinobi of that caliber. We just graduated from the academy. How are we supposed to beat another shinobi? Sakura, who was it that took down the demon brothers? And who helped me get free when I was trapped? She glanced over at her teammates. That's right. And don't forget yourself. You may not have fought, but you stood your guard to protect our charge. You three are growing at a rapid rate. If I train you for a week, you should have more than a chance of beating that kid. There's no way you can beat them. It came from a gloomy voice in the doorway. They all turned around to see a little boy, not much older than 7 or 8 years old. You will just die. Inari. Where have you been? I've missed you so much. A loving voice sounded. Team 7 looked around, before they were shocked to find out it came from Tazuna. Inari ran over to his grandfather, and hugging him, "You're home, Ji-chan. I've missed you too." Inari, say help to them. They have escorted your grandpa all the way from Konoha, and they will be staying with us until the bridge have been built. Tsunami scolded. Inari looked at the foreign shinobi. Kachan, they're all going to die. There's no way anyone can stand up to Gato and live. This caused glares from Sakura and Naruto. PFT, how dare he? He doesn't even know what we're capable of. Naruto glanced at Tazuna. I guess it runs in the family, he thought, remembering how Tazuna had reacted first time he saw them. Inari started to walk away. If you don't want to die, you should go home. No one can stop Gato, and with that said, he disappeared out the door. Tazuna looked down the floor with a solemn look. I'm sorry for that. Team 7 was once again shocked. Not only had Tazuna spoken with love to the little brat that had insulted them, he was sad now. There was much more to Tazuna than they knew. Kakashi waved with his hand. No problem. Now team, we will take today to rest from the journey. Tomorrow we will start the training. Elsewhere in the middle of an unknown forest, the young fake hunter Nin was squatting beside Zabuza's body, slowly unfolding a leather roll with various medical tools. He turned to look at Zabuza, trying to find any damage that may have been done. Other than scratches here and there, the only problem right now was the long needles in his neck. He looked analyzing in the area where he had hit him with the needles. It seems I have to cut the clothes off his mouth first, and make him cough up the blood first. He took a scissor-like tool from the scroll, and slowly closed in on the clothes. When his hand was no more than a few centimeters from the target, Zabuza's hand shot up and grabbed the fake hunter Nin's. I can do that on my own, thank you very much. It came from Zabuza, as he slowly opened his eyes, and began to peel the clothes off. Oh, the boy said you're already awake. He didn't sound surprised by a long shot. Zabuza grunted as he sat up. Geez, you're so rough, he said, as he began picking out the needles harshly. This caused a gasp from the young boy, who frowned under the mask. I could say the same thing about you, Zabuza-san. If you keep picking those out like that, you're just going to damage a blood vessel. Then you're going to bleed out and die for real. Zabuza didn't seem to care, as he continued to pick out the last of the needles. He sat silently for a second, before turning his gaze on the young boy. How long are you going to wear that fake mask? It's not needed here, so take it off, Haku. Sorry, I forgot. It's been a while since I have needed to use this, the boy said, beginning to lodge off the mask from his face. Though it did help pull off the act and fool the shinobi from Konoha. If I didn't intervene when I did, you would have been killed for sure, he finished. His mask was off. His face didn't look like a boy's face. The curves were very soft, and the skin fair. And his expression just shouted I couldn't hurt a fly if I wanted to, though Zabuza knew that it wasn't true. That may very well be, but you didn't need to attack my neck if you wanted to put me into a fake death. You're still that same wicked girl I picked up all those years ago. Haku smiled. That may very well be true. But I couldn't help it. I didn't want to scar your beautiful body, Zabuza-san. Also, it's much easier to aim at the neck, since it has much less muscle tissue. Zabuza tried to stand up, but only made it halfway up before falling on his butt. Haku made her way over to help him. You won't be able to move for a week or so. But knowing you, that will not get in your way, Zabuza-san. Zabuza sat still for a few more moments, catching his breath again. You're pure, clever and not tainted at all. He paused for a moment, looking over at his student. That's what I like about you. Haku blushed. Well, I am still a child. She looked over the area, noticing that the fog was lifting. The fog is lifting, we should probably make our way back. Zabuza nodded affirmative as Haku paused. She turned a concerned look at him. Will you be okay next time? Zabuza sighed. I really don't know. I know I could take the Sharingan on one-on-one, but they also have a Shoton user. We have no idea what he can do. He broke my clone and water prison with only little preparation. Given, I hadn't pumped as much chakra into it as I normally would have. But still, he looked at Haku's concerned face. I need you to train to take him on. I don't think he will be an easy opponent, not even for your Hayaton. Haku nodded. Anything for you, Zabuza-san. She helped him up, and they started walking towards their hideout to recuperate. Later that night, Tazuna, Tsunami and Team 7 had just eaten dinner, made by Tsunami. Inari hadn't come down. After he had said hello to his grandfather, he had been in his room watching the ocean according to Tsunami. Naruto leaned back and patted on his stomach. Ah, that was really something. Not as good as Ichiraku's ramen, but good nonetheless, he said with a pleased smile on his lips. Thank you, I guess, Tsunami said. You should, Sakura said, taking another bite of the fish. He rarely compares anything to ramen, not to mention Ichiraku's ramen. While they had been a team, Sakura had learned a thing or two about Naruto. He was a trainaholic, he actually had a head on his shoulders, and he loved ramen. On more than one occasion had he called it Kami's gift to man. I'm honored then, Tsunami said with a blush. Naruto stretched his body and yawned loudly. Well, I think I'm going to hit the rack. See you all tomorrow, he said, walking out the kitchen. He walked up the stairs and heading for his room when he heard something from Inari's room. Slowly he opened the door to a crack to see what was going on. Inside, Inari was sitting in the windowsill. He was looking out at the ocean, but that was not all. As far as Naruto could see, he was holding a picture. Then he heard sobs from Inari, who were pressing the picture frame further into his hug. Tusan, it came half smothered from Inari. Naruto was looking with compassion. I guess he lost his father. And I'll bet a year's supply of ramen that it was Gato who killed him. Naruto closed the door quietly, making sure Inari didn't hear him, and made his way to his room. The next morning, the 3 genin of Team 7 were standing in front of their sensei, which had climbed out of bed with crutches this morning. They were standing in a forest clearing not long from Tazuna's house. Tazuna had agreed to wait with continuing the bridge till the next day, so Kakashi could get his team started on the training regime. Kakashi looked over his team. They were all looking back at him determinedly, even Sakura. He took an extra look at her. What has come over her? She normally just looks and adores Sasuke. Oh well, it can't be bad. He coughed in his hand to clear his throat. Well then, let's get started. We're going to work on your chakra these next days. Sasuke and Sakura looked disappointed, while Naruto looked indifferent. Sasuke was the first to speak. Chakra? We can already use chakra and form jutsu. Let's just get on with it. Yeah, I agree, Sakura said. Naruto looked at her with an "are you kidding me" look. She always agreed with Sasuke, she didn't have to voice it. Kakashi shook his head. No. You may be able to use chakra, but you have far from mastered it. Now, for today's exercise, we're going to the gen. And looked at him with high expectations. Climb trees. And once again, Sakura and Sasuke were dumbstruck. This time it was Sakura who voiced her opinion. Climb trees? How are climbing trees going to help us with our chakra control? Or help us at all for that matter? Like this, Naruto said, going over to a tree, only stopping for a second to concentrate his chakra, before stepping onto the wood and beginning to walk vertically up the tree. Kakashi nodded. That's right. I see you've already mastered it. Care to explain to your teammates what you're doing? Sasuke were glaring at Naruto. How much ahead of me have you come since the academy? What am I talking about? He isn't ahead of me. He just knows an exercise that I don't. He can't be ahead of me. He is a clanless loser, and I'm the heir to the strongest clan in Konoha. Yeah, that's right. Naruto shrugged. It's pretty easy when you get the hang of it, he said, walking up below a branch, and hanged with his head down, proving his point. All you need to do is mold and concentrate your chakra below your feet, creating a suction effect to keep you on the surface you want to climb. But you really should watch out. If you build up too much chakra in your feet, it's just going to blast you off. And if you do the opposite, not building up enough, you won't get the suctions effect, and you will just fall off. Very good, Naruto. As to why this is going to help you in the long run, Sakura, when you fight an opponent, what is one of the most basic skills in ninja uses? Kakashi looked at the pink head. I guess ninjutsu? Sakura answered tentatively. That's right. And what do you need to use ninjutsu? Kakashi continued. Chakra, the girl answered, realization covering her face. Right again. So by doing this exercise, your chakra control, and therefore your chakra utilization skills, will improve, and you will be able to use more ninjutsu. The Jounin finished the explanation. He looked at the two grounded genin to see if they had understood. Sasuke looked pissed, Kakashi thinking it was highly likely because of Naruto. Which caused him to look at said member of Team 7 and sweat dropped. Now you're just showing off. Naruto was currently swinging back and forward, only connected to the tree by 1 foot. Kakashi cleared his throat, getting the attention. Meh, Naruto, mind coming down now? Naruto grinned, releasing the chakra in his foot, causing him to fall to the ground at high speed. Sakura gasped, but it really wasn't needed. Naruto simply flipped halfway down, landing with a quiet thud on the ground. No problem, he said, still holding the same grin. So does that mean I can go on ahead with my own training? Naruto hadn't had a chance to really train the last few days, for obvious reasons. He wanted to progress that water balloon exercise, and he also had to do practice some in his calligraphy. He had never thought that it would be a big part of his shinobi career to write, at least not until he became the Hokage, other than the mission reports here and there, and he never imagined to take it to such a high level. But if he wanted to get better at Fuinjutsu, he needed to learn to write fast and precise, else all his knowledge about seals would be for nothing. And maybe he could also get started on that water walking exercise. He had wanted to start on that for ages. Who wouldn't want to walk on water, but had waited till he was advanced enough in the tree climbing. Finally, when they had gotten this mission, so he hadn't gotten started yet. And then there was the matter of keeping his training method a secret. Naruto gulped. Sandangiji told me that he would have me get all the missions involving Tora until I took over the Hokage myself, if I ever exposed it to someone not meant to see it. The silver-haired Jounin glanced over his blonde student before shrugging. I guess it won't be a problem. But since you already know the 3 climbing, and has mastered as far as I can see, I will assign you to guard duty tomorrow. Naruto's eyes narrowed. You're just assigning me to guard duty so that you can stay in bed all day and read Erosenen's perverted books, aren't you? Kakashi waved his hand in a dismissive motion, laughing nervously. Now, where would you have gotten that idea? Off to train you go, he finished, hoping that the prospect of training was more exciting than exposing him as a pervert for the rest of the team. Naruto stood still for a few more moments, before sighing in a defeated manner, and ran into the forest to find a clearing he could use for training. As soon as Naruto was away, Kakashi turned to the remainder of his team, and started them on their training. Next morning at the bridge. Naruto was sitting on the railing of the bridge, taking a break from his water balloon, was looking over the bridge. It had been a slow day really. Tazuna had told him to get up around 4 a.m., as they were needed at the bridge at 5. Naruto, not wanting to miss out on any training, had made a clone with 3/4 of his chakra, and sent it to the forest clearing he had trained in yesterday. It had chakra to about 70 clones, but he was only making 30 or so. The reason being that they were on a mission, where they could engage in battle against foreign shinobi at any moment, so it wouldn't do that he was totally exhausted if that happened. They had been the first to arrive, with 20 or so workers slowly filing in as the time got closer and closer to 6 a.m. As they were about to start, one of the workers had asked where the shinobi guarding them were, to which Tazuna had pointed on Naruto. This caused disgruntled looks from almost all the workers, and a one even had the nerve of calling him a short brat. Tazuna had smirked, since he had come to know Naruto just a little bit the past few days. And as he had though, Naruto had showed the worker what he could do, almost fully surrounding him with crystal, before 3 razor-sharp blades had shot out, and were inches from slicing him. This, of course, had closed the mouth of any and all the workers, who quickly went to work, not wanting to get on the bad side of their guard. Naruto sighed. He was developing a little temper when it came to his height. He looked down beside him. There were broken water balloons. Not shattered at all, they were just punctured, but he was happy, it was progress. He had made the breakthrough yesterday when one of his clones had sat down and analyzed what they had seen Jiraiya do a couple of days earlier, and had realized that what they were doing looked completely different. That's when he had gotten the idea to swirl the water in more than one direction. It had been a success, but it was still damn hard. Agaki, are you bored or what? Tazuna's voice sounded, bringing Naruto back to the bridge. Huh? No, not really. I was just taking a break from my training, Naruto answered, leaning back with closed and enjoying the sun on his face. Tazuna frowned. Training? You're just playing with water balloons. Naruto chuckled internally. He had figured that the way Tazuna showed curiosity were by insulting. When talking to strangers anyway. Naruto shook his head to answer Tazuna, and made eye contact with him. It's a bit harder than that. I have to burst it open with nothing but my chakra. It's a lot harder than it looks, you know. I don't know. May I have a word with you, Tazuna? A voice from behind them interrupted. Both of them looked at the newcomer. Tazuna put down the little log he had been carrying. Sure thing, Jichi. Is something wrong? Well, I have thought a lot about it, and I think I'm going to quit building the bridge, Jichi said, looking down on the ground as if ashamed, not going unnoticed by Naruto. What? Not you too, Jichi? Why the sudden change of mind? Tazuna asked, surprised, and a little outraged. Tazuna, I have known you for a long time, and you have become a good friend. I want to help, but if I get much more involved in this, Gato will after me when he's done with you. I have to think on the wife and the kids, you know, Jichi replied. Naruto could see that he was really split in this decision, but he had finally valued his family more. Naruto couldn't blame him. It was something Naruto longed after. He longed after getting a father and mother, or just knowing who they were. Naruto respected the man's decision. Tazuna didn't look that convinced. Jichi continued, I want to build the bridge and save Nami as much as the next islander, but everything will lose meaning if you die. Naruto cocked an eyebrow, so he is also concerned for his old friend. I like that guy. Jichi almost looked pleadingly at Tazuna. Why don't we stop building the bridge? Naruto was, to say the least, shocked. He hadn't expected the man to suggest that, not after all he had learned Tazuna had done for it to be built, including lying his ass off to the Hokage, one of the mightiest persons on the elemental continents. Tazuna had regained his calm look, and answered just as calm, you know I can't do that. This bridge is our bridge. Not just yours or mine, or the workers' bridge, but the bridge of all the islanders of Nami no Kuni. This is the bridge built on the hopes of the people, the hope that we can break free from Gato's rule, that we can increase our distribution and transportation that will increase the wealth in this poor country. But if we die? If we die, Tazuna interrupted, people will know that Tazuna the bridge builder died for what he believed in. That he died in the hopes that someone would take over his work. That he died believing that Nami no Kuni will break free from Gato, if not by his own hands then by the hands of his successor. He put a hand on his old friend's shoulder. I can't ask you to do it, but I will continue to build this bridge until my dying breath. I don't blame you if you don't want to risk your family. You can go home if you want. Jichi looked sad at his old friend, before giving up, convincing him with a sigh. He took of his uniform and the tools he had used, and gave it to Tazuna. I'm sorry, old friend, and with that he left the bridge. Tazuna stood there for a while, just staring at where his old friend had left. He didn't even hear the steps behind him, and only noticed the person when he took the uniform and tools of his hands. He turned around to see his blonde guard putting on the uniform. He gave the kid a questioning look. I thought you said you shouldn't overwork yourself? Naruto grinned back at the old man. How can I sit still and not help after you gave that speech? You have gotten a little more respect in my eyes, Ajizan, but only a little. Tazuna grinned back at the kid. He had come to like him. He was lively and didn't give up. Thanks, kid, I'm sure it will help. I just hope there are no more workers who quit just now. We're almost done with the bridge, 1.5 to 2 weeks more, but just like Jichi, people won't risk their families. I guess, Naruto said, bringing up his hand to form a very familiar hand sign. I will have to help a bit more. Tajua Kagebushin no Jutsu. 20 additional Narutos appeared, effectively doubling the workforce at the bridge. It didn't take long for them to spread out on the bridge, and help where he could. His lively spirit also affected Tazuna, who only was that more determined to finish the bridge. Same afternoon at the market. Tazuna and Naruto were walking down the main street of the biggest town in the area. In all honesty, it didn't deserve the name town or road. It was a long dust trail, where shacks and cracked stone buildings stood along the sides. The people didn't look much better. They were all walking around very carefully, afraid that their life could be stolen at a second's notice. They wore clothes, if you could call it that, which looked to be made up of sacks and mold-infested cloth. The worst were the children. They were at every corner and store opening, begging to just get the tiniest attention and food. It reminded him of the year after he was kicked out of the orphanage, before he had gotten the apartment he was living in now. He shuddered a bit. What is the meaning of this? Tazuna didn't have to look to know what he was talking about. Nami no Kuni have been like this since Gato took over. That man can't be anyone but the devil, Naruto said angrily. I will definitely. Naruto was interrupted when he felt hands go through his ninja bag. Whoever did it had chosen the absolute worst time to do it. Naruto swirled around to see a middle-aged man. As soon as he caught a glimpse of Naruto's eye, he was scared out of his pants, and tried to run away. But Naruto was angry, and he had to take it out on somebody. He grabbed the shirt of the man. You do not steal from me, thief! And threw the man down the street, where he continued skirting, before he was stopped abruptly by a brick wall. Naruto scoffed and continued after Tazuna, who had walked into a store to look for ingredients for tonight's meal. He wasn't happy with what he saw. It was the same as the street and the town. The shelves were close to empty, with only a few foodstuffs scattered here and there. And they didn't look fresh, quite the opposite. Naruto sighed and became only more determined to see that this country was set free from Gato, and that said man was burned in the deepest pits of hell for what he had done. He continued after Tazuna, who continued out of the store after paying over prices on the scarcely collected wares. They hadn't walked more than a few meters before Naruto felt tucking in his bag again. Not again, he thought as he swirled around, planning to chew out whoever was stupid enough to try and steal from him. He stopped in his tracks as he saw who was standing in front of him, a little girl who couldn't have been more than 8 years old. "Please give me," she said, holding her hands out. Naruto blinked a couple of times, before going through his bag and found a few pieces of candy. The girl's eyes lit up with joy. She was just about to run off when Naruto stopped her with a smile, squatting down to her level. "Hey, what is your name?" The girl blushed slightly. "Amaya." Naruto kept smiling. "Hey Amaya. My name is Naruto. Want to see something cool?" he asked, which in response got a tentatively nod. He closed his hand together, activating his Shoten powers, making it glow slightly out of the cracks. When he opened it, a miniature figure of a puppy was standing on his hands. The girl went wide-eyed. Naruto just kept smiling and handed the figurine to the girl. "Here, you take it. It's a lucky charm. As long as you have it, good things will happen to you. Just believe in it." She reached out and took the dog, inspecting it all over. She looked back at the blonde with tears in her eyes. She bowed deeply. "Arigato Naruto-nizin," she cried out, before hugging him deeply. Naruto was taken by surprise, but quickly returned the hug. When they were done, she looked at him with big puppy eyes. "Will you be back? So you can meet all my friends?" "I'm sure I will. Just keep an eye out for me," Naruto said with his kind smile on the lips. She nodded, and ran into the crowd, surely to find to show her friends her new toy. "That was very kind of you," Tazuna noted. "Yeah, they remind me of myself when I was little," Naruto responded, before starting to head out of the town. It piqued Tazuna's curiosity, but he could see he wouldn't get more of an answer for now. Evening at Tazuna's house. When Sasuke and Sakura came back to Tazuna's house that evening, they looked extremely exhausted. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "It seems Sakura is actually trying. I'm glad she actually listened to me." Naruto smirked at Sasuke. "Worked hard at team?" Sasuke scoffed at him, not having the strength to come with a longer answer. Sakura was just about to come to the defense of her beloved Sasuke-kun, when Tsunami's voice sounded from the living room. "Dinner is ready. Come and eat." The Konoha genin didn't need any more to be said, as they ran as fast as their bodies could carry them to the dinner table. It wasn't a gourmet meal, but it was not bad either at all. They all took their places, broke off the eating chops itadakimasu, and began eating like wolves, Sakura eating like a fine wolf. After dinner, when they had some tea, Sakura was looking around the kitchen and found a picture hanging on the wall. It showed Inari, Tsunami and Tazuna, and one other person it seemed like. But he was ripped out of it. "Ano, why are you hanging a torn picture?" It brought all the attention of all the shinobi to the mentioned picture. Inari-kun was watching this during the dinner the entire time. "This torn part looks like someone intentionally tore away the person who was there," she continued. It silenced the whole room. Finally Tsunami, who was doing the dishes, spoke up. "It's my husband." The shinobi waited for her to continue, not satisfied with the answer, but she didn't. Tazuna spoke up. "He was the man known as the hero of this town." He didn't get to say more before Inari left his seat, walking towards the door. "Inari, where are you going?" Tsunami asked, but he had already left. She walked after him, and when she opened the door, she turned around looking at Tazuna. "Father, I told you not to talk about him in front of Inari," she said a little harshly, before she exited the door. Tazuna sighed deeply. Team 7 was watching him closely. He looked around on them all. Inari had a father he wasn't related to. They were very close, like a real father and son. They were a real father and son. He looked back up at the picture, seeing a laughing Inari in the middle. Inari used to laugh a lot back then. But Tazuna began to sob lightly, shocking the shinobi. They had the impression of Tazuna of man who didn't really show any vulnerable feelings. Well, everyone but Naruto, who had learned some about their client on the bridge. Tazuna bit his cries back. He changed after what happened to his father. His name was Kaiza. Tazuna paused again. The word courage was forever taken away from the people of this island and Inari. After that day, Tazuna went on about explaining how Inari and Kaiza had met. How he had taught him about living his life so he didn't regret a thing. He then went about telling them how a big storm had hit the island, breaking the dam, and how Kaiza had saved them all. Then his voice turned into venom, as he spoke of how Gata had taken over the island, and how Kaiza didn't want to back down. How he was executed in front of the whole town to set an example, and that after that day, Inari was changed. He didn't believe in heroes and courage. He was depressed and cried alone in his room. After he finished, the whole room was quiet. Team 7 had troubled looks on their faces. "How horrible!" It came quiet from Sakura. The others nodded in agreement. Tazuna then looked up at them all with a determined look in his eyes. "And that's why I want to build that bridge. For the people of Wave, for Kaiza and for Inari. I want to break us free from the rule of Gatu. I want Inari to be happy again. That determination was also brought up in the shinobi. And we will help you achieve it. We won't let Gata lay a hand on you. Count on it. Naruto declared. Sasuke smirked. You count on it. I'm not going to be outdone by you, though. Hi, we can't let the people of Wave suffer anymore, Sakura said. Kakashi took a look on the clock. Guys, I think it's about time to hit the racks. We still have to train you guys hard the next few days to get you ready. You don't want to let Tazuna down, do you? None of the genin did, and quickly made their way to bed. The next few days didn't go very different. Kakashi came and helped guard Tazuna, and in the meantime had handed over a jutsu scroll on futon, Repusho. He had said it would work well with his Rakugo Shuriken, and Naruto wasn't one to deny his sensei. Naruto was also making progress on the water balloon exercise, now progressed to the rubber ball exercise. It had taken time to finish the first part of the exercise, only finally completing it when Kakashi had said he had spun it against his natural flow. After that, it had gone easy. But this next step took so much more power that he hadn't even punctured the ball. Sakura and Sasuke were also progressing, both now able to walk up and down the tree without faltering, and just starting to learn to stay still on the surface. It was going slowly but surely. As for the bridge, it had gone faster with Naruto's clones helping, but more and more workers had quit, and only 7 of them remained now, most of them already having lost their families to Gatu. They didn't have anything to lose. Naruto had also been back to see Amaya and her friends, telling them stories, and of course, making more pretty lucky charms as they called them. Naruto was starting to grow attached to the children, especially when they all called him Naruto-Nizan. It was at least one thing he was going to miss in Nami. At Tazuna's house, 2 evenings before Zabuza's return. When they came back that evening, the genin were rather battered up, even Naruto, who had been working hard on the rubber ball, and were delighted when they saw another homemade meal was waiting for them. They ate as much as they could to recharge their energy, so they could give it all the next day. Tazuna stopped eating and looked up at Kakashi. The bridge is almost complete. It's thanks to you guys. Tsunami looked up from her meal. But don't push yourself so much. The genin just smiled. Tazuna continued. I wanted to ask this before, but why are you still here even when I lied about the request details? Kakashi folded his hands and closed his eyes. Not doing right when you know it is right is a coward's way. There are no weak soldiers under a valiant commander. They're the teachings of the Yondaime Hokage, our previous Hokage. That's when Inari spoke up. Why it caught all the genin attention. Inari stood up and slammed his hand down on the table. Why are you trying so hard to end up dead? You can't bear Gata's men, even if you train. No matter how hard you try and say those good-looking words, weak people are going to lose against strong people. Naruto glared at that. Shut up. You don't know the first thing about us. That silenced Inari, who were on the verge of tears. Here you are, living a relatively good life. You have mother that loves and cooks for you, and a grandfather who tries to save this country. And what do? You cry, and mope about how bad it is. You don't realize how good you have it compared to other people. Have you seen how the children in the town live? And for that matter, you don't know what it's like to be hated in your own village for something that is out of your control. You don't know what it's like to be beaten and kicked out of shops and forced to go through the garbage for food. You think your life is bad, fine, but don't just sit around and moan about it. Do something about it. Fight back. Don't be a coward. Naruto rose from the table and headed for the door. Sakura went on alert. There, Naruto. Where are you going? Out to train, Naruto all but mumbled. And with that, Naruto stormed out the front door with tears in his eyes. Inari stormed out the other side of the house, out the back door. The civilians and the genin of Team 7 were shocked of what Naruto had said. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto's life couldn't have been that bad, right? He has to be lying to get attention, Sakura asked. Kakashi shook his head. No. Everything he said was true. Naruto was kicked out of the orphanage when he was 4 years old, and was forced to living on the streets for 6 months before some Anbu found him and took him to the Hokage. The Hokage gave Naruto an apartment, but he has had to learn everything for himself, and was constantly being beaten and kicked out of stores. And that's the down-watered version, he said, shocking everyone in the room. Tazuna looked down on his half-empty plate. So that's what he meant by that. They reminded him of himself as a child. It seems to me that they got a good life compared to what he had to live through. Later that night at the docks outside the house, Inari was sitting on the edge of the docks, looking out over the ocean. He could see the bridge his grandfather was trying to build. He heard footsteps behind him, but didn't bother to see who it was. May I join you? A male voice sounded. Inari guessed it was the Konoha Jounin who had arrived a few days earlier. He shrugged. Kakashi walked over to Inari and sat beside him. Naruto didn't say those things out of spite, you know. Inari didn't react, but he continued anyway. He is just stubborn, still no reaction. He looked over the ocean. We heard about your father from Tazuna-san. Naruto is the same as you in that way, he didn't have a father when he was young. To be truthful, he doesn't know what it feels like to have parents. He also didn't have a single friend growing up. That caught Inari's attention. He looked up on the young Jounin as he continued, however, I have never seen him grow timid, get sulky, or cry. He has always been desperate to make people recognize him. He now looked down on Inari with what Inari could only guess was a smile on his lips, and he's able to put his life on the line for that dream. He's probably bored of crying by now. That got Inari thinking, remembering what his father was like. That's why he knows the true meaning of being strong. Just like your father. Naruto might be the one who understands you the most. What Naruto said to you before, those are probably the words he's been telling himself over and over again. Kakashi rose from where he had sat. If anything, just don't hold a grudge against him. He wasn't trying to be mean, and with that said, he went back to the house, leaving Inari to think about what he had heard. The following morning in the forest. Are you okay? Hello? Are you there? Naruto's eyes slammed open, surprising the person who had tried to wake him up. Quickly reacting, he jumped up into his taijutsu stance, but relaxed upon seeing that it was an ordinary teenage girl looking at him. He looked around him, finding himself in the same clearing they had been training in the last few days. I must have fallen asleep out here. Haku took a better look at the now obvious ninja in front of her. She noticed his Konoha Hittite he was with Sharingan Kakashi the other day. He must be the one with Shoten. She didn't show her worry, but simply smiled at him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to surprise you. Naruto smiled back at her. No problem. I didn't mean to jump like that. Reflexes, you know. She nodded at that. Is that Hittite real? Are you a real shinobi? She asked, completing her act as an unknowing civilian. He grinned back at that, pushing his chest up. Yes. I am a shinobi of Konoha. I will protect her with my life. The girl giggled at the way Naruto was acting. Naruto looked at her again. By the way, what are you doing out here so early? Picking herbs, she answered nicely, as she turned away, resuming looking through the plants on the ground. Herbs? Naruto asked. She turned her head and smiled at him. That's right. It's to cure injuries and illness. One of my friends has gotten hurt, so I'm out here looking for herbs to cure him. I can help you. I still have some time before I have to be back to breakfast, he said, helping her going through the plants. He had gotten a bit of knowledge of herbs from his reading, but it really hadn't been anything he had read up on. They picked through the plants for a while, then the girl spoke up again. By the way, what are you doing out here so early? He threw her one of his big smiles. Training. And why are you training? I want to become stronger. But you look strong enough already. No, I want to become stronger and stronger. She was silent for a time, resuming picking through the forest floor. Are you doing it for someone else? Or for yourself? Well, I think when I just graduated I was doing it for myself. But then Iruka-sensei acknowledged me. And so did Kakashi-sensei, and Sakura-chan, and I guess Sasuke-team did too. He paused. I think now I'm doing it just as much for them, as I'm doing it for myself. She looked up at him. That's good. I believe a person is able to become truly strong when they wish to protect someone they cherish. Naruto got a thoughtful look in his eyes. I think you're right. I understand that. She nodded at him. She took her basket, now filled with herbs. Thank you, I think you will become strong. She began walking out of the clearing. By the way, I'm a boy, she said, walking away, leaving Naruto stunned. But he is beautiful. She can't be a boy. You're lying, he said before he could stop himself. She stammered. She sighed. Yes, I am. Why would you lie about something like that? Because of Gato. His men aren't always polite. Naruto was disgusted by that. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone. She smiled back at him. Goodbye. I really hope I don't have to fight you when the time comes. Naruto yawned loudly and stretched his arms above his head. He scratched his eyes and looked around in the room. Sasuke and Sakura were still asleep. It didn't come to a surprise, as the whole week he had woken before them. He was used to get up early to train, and to get through the village as early as possible when fewer people were on the streets. He shook the thoughts from his head and sneaked out of the room, heading for the bathroom. While he was doing his business, he took a look out of the window. He could see the first rays of the sun touch the horizon in the distance. One thing he loved and hated about Nami no Kuni was the flat land and ocean. You could see for miles and miles without anything disturbing your view. He loved that he could see the sunrise so early, since in Konoha you would have to wait at least a few hours for the sun to rise above the small mountains and the forest of Hino-kuni. But then again, he hated it because you could see so long. One part of being shinobi is hiding in the shadows, and being from Konoha where the forest is everywhere, he almost felt exposed. He breathed in deeply, and went on to brushing his teeth. He looked at his reflection in the little mirror hanging on the wall and took a deep breath. So, it's today, huh? He asked. No one in particular. Today is probably the day Zabuza will return, and it's highly likely that he will have that fake hunter Nin with him. I have no chance of defeating Zabuza, so I must keep his companion occupied. I have to protect my friends. But it still scares me. Today I am going to fight another shinobi. I may have to kill Naruto. Turned on the water and splashed water in his face. I am doing it for my comrades. If I have to kill, then I will do it to save them. I will do it for them, so they can live. When Naruto was done, he made his way down to the kitchen. He was surprised to see Tsunami already up and cooking. He glanced at the clock, and as he thought, it was 6:13 a.m. He sat down at the table. Good morning, Tsunami-san. Tsunami almost jumped 2 feet in the air and spun around with a knife in her hand. Her stance relaxed as she saw who it was. Oh, it's just you, Naruto-kun. Sorry for that, but I didn't expect anyone up yet.